And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum for Thursday, January 26th, 2023. And we've got some stuff we're going to discuss. We've got a whole lot of stuff, reviews on comics. Whether you're watching us live or on the rerun, please leave a comment because we do appreciate it. And what say we start the show?
10 seconds.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads. Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
How dare you!
And I have no idea why it didn't show the video there, but we had the audio. But anyway, welcome to Comic Book Spectrum. We talk about comics, and it's this comic book show for people that don't even like comics, but you'll have fun. And we want to thank the people that make this show possible, starting with our Patreon subscribers, who are going to be named in a couple of books coming out from our Rising Tide Publications real darn soon. And if you want to see your name in print, then check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And also, we have Rising Tide Publications is one of our sponsors because I've got an in with them. And also Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Work hard on a book, you definitely want a great cover to help sell that thing, and that's when you turn to Jeffrey Hayes. He has done some great books over the last few years, and he can work for you at very indie creator friendly prices. So go to the Plasma Fire Graphics page on Facebook and check out the samples, then go over to plasmafiregraphics.com, check out more, get in touch with Jeffrey and see what he can do for you. That is Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And something that matters to readers everywhere are the reviews that come from this group, namely the ones, the onlys, Jody McFee, Brian Rodman, Eric S. Hawkins, and Clyde Hall. Gentlemen, how the heck are you?
Fantastic. How are you, Brian?
Surviving.
I'm fine.
Caffeinated.
Oh, so yeah.
Did you say constipated?
Yeah, and
Correct.
caffeinated. No, actually,
Oh,
they
okay,
don't go
that's-
hand in hand. You caffeinate,
Yeah.
and then you got to go.
I say if you're
What?
constipated,
That sounds like a Clyde problem to me, but yeah, I wouldn't know what you mean about getting caffeinated, but anyway, it shows you how I'm running when I'm drinking caffeine at 7 p.m. at night. So.
I'm on my second and a half pot of coffee today.
ooh,
Yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah.
I totally hear you. Oh, and I relate. But anyway, we've got viewer comments immediately. But first of all, we want to point out real quick something that's going on that you all should be familiar with. Amy Hale and her husband, John, have been having some financial difficulties due to medical bills and such. And you're going to see a GoFundMe address at the bottom of the screen, GoFundMe.com/small F for some reason. And then another /love for the Hales. Please consider giving to that, because Amy gave me a progress report a few days ago. She started writing again.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yay!
yeah. If that isn't worth clapping about, I don't know what is, because she is a fantastic author. And if you don't feel like going to GoFundMe, then go to author.amyhill.com and pick up some books, and she will autograph them for you. She's been making regular deliveries to the post office lately because of your generosity out there. So we've got a long way to go. Please do not stop now. In fact, I'm going to see if I loaded it onto here. I'm terrified to try to go to one of my other places. Now, I have a picture in another file here where...
Well, we don't want to see that picture.
No, not that file.
I don't want to see a picture of your other places, Brian.
Good night, everyone. This has been Comic Book Spectrum, then. I have a list. I have a picture that she sent me of a stack of letters that are going out to pay some of the bills because of the generosity of her friends and family and all. And I joked with her, we may have to start another GoFundMe to pay for the stamps, hopefully. But yeah, it's a beautiful stack of bills. There was an ambulance bill that went to collections. They're completely paid off.
Good.
So yeah, so you guys and gals are making a difference out there. Please check out the GoFundMe website. You'll see more about Amy and John's situation, and then please give whatever you feel like doing. Don't empty your bank account. They don't want that. And if you do feel like it, go to risingtide.pub, which has a connection to my Amazon account, and then we'll talk. But anyway, other than that, please just give whatever you feel like. And if you've already given, thank you so much. Please consider giving again. We've got a long way to go, but we're making progress. That's the main thing. But we're making progress because we're going to read some comments from our viewers, and you can believe our viewers have comments for us.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Before we get too far along,
Yes.
last
Hold on,
weekend was
Pops.
the multiverse fundraiser.
Oh, yes. I meant to ask, how did that go?
It went very well. We met our
Good.
goal of $1,500 for the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. It's still going on until the 28th. So we're still bringing in some revenue for it. And if you go to the Multiverse Fundraiser page, the back of the Cereal Box Network, you can find them on Facebook, or you can just www.backofthecerealbox.com, I believe, and you can go. It has a link right there that you can make a donation. So we had really good attendance and questions, and the celebrities were awesome, and it's a great weekend.
Yeah, I caught part of that. That was so good. You and Kelly and everybody did. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, and thank everybody that tuned in and donated or just enjoyed the. It was a real weekend. It was like a convention because we had celebrity panelists. We had William Catt showed up.
Yeah.
Armin Shimmerman. I got to interview Guy Gilchrist, who's a cartoonist for the Muppets and a designer for Muppet Babies and Fraggle Rock, and so really it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, drew Nancy for the longest time, the syndicated Nancy.
22 years he drew Nancy.
Yeah, he was a long timer on that. That's great. I'm glad you guys had a lot of fun. And
I was able to catch Willow Schuyler's interview with my name just her name just completely slipped.
Amy
my
Aspect?
mind. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good.
Yeah. There's a group of really talented people over there. So way to go, guys. John Pica, everyone involved with that, Crayley, all our love to you guys.
Ryan Permisson, our buddy.
Ryan Permisson, that's right, Ryan. Good God, who could forget Ryan? Apparently me at this time, but anyway, we love you, Ryan. We really do.
Joe, you're muted, buddy.
Yeah. You're still muted.
Still muted.
There
he goes.
That's it. Yeah.
That's
Only the host is allowed to do that.
With Victor Garva during that.
Yes.
I watched that.
Oh yeah, I saw part of that. I seriously love Victor Garber. He is so good. And I'll watch him I'll watch even the crappiest show just because he's in. Although he did like a TV movie version of The Music Man, which I love that music.
It was good, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes. And was it Roderick was pretty good in that too. And Kristen Chenoweth. Of course you can't top Robert Preston, and God bless him, he didn't, Garber didn't try. None of the people tried to do the originals. But Garber was a great mayor. Shit, he was fantastic. He's fantastic in everything he does. So
Jesus Christ Superstar and on. It's just
oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. He did Alias also with Jennifer Garner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where I think that's where I first started paying attention to him. Plus, of course, he was in was it Legends of Tomorrow?
He was about the only good part of that show for me.
I
didn't really care for that show other than him.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I like Jennifer Garner in there, but the plots were becoming more incomprehensible as the show went on. I think they were practicing for Lost. So anyway, we do have comments here, and we're starting out with Pops Van Zandt. Good to see you, Pops. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Brian. Hey, Pops. CromCon 32 is this weekend. Lots of new segment and guests. Check out Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt. Give that page a like on Facebook and check out CromCon. You're going to see some of the best of the independent comics field there. And speaking of the best, there's Carl Witzman. Good evening to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. And Donna Carly, mwah. Check out yesterday's Nevermind the Furthermore, the new improved version with Nicholas Anthony Tucker. And Donna Carlene was on there yesterday, and she was fantastic. She was amusing as always, and everyone's saying hello, hello, hello. And we're saying hello to Lissy. How you doing, Lissy? Mwah. Good evening to you. And Full House, and hello, Full House, everyone. And Amy Hale also needed one more review. Oh, yes, that's true. Amy Hale also needed one more review on Amazon to reach 50 reviews, and that triggers another level to the algorithm. If you have read any of Amy's books, please go review. I think this is for neurosis, I think.
Yeah, it
is. But okay, yeah, thank you. So please pick up that book for one thing. It is a really, really good read. I can't write a review because I already did. But if you read the book and you enjoyed it, especially if you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, write it anyway because it still helps her. But let's get that 50th review up sometime, and that will help her out. Order books from Amazon. That's another way you can help Amy Hale out. And everyone's saying hello. And great on the John Ritter cause. We had fun on the indie author panel. That's right.
Yes, I watched part of that. Yes.
That was cool. That was very cool. And yes, it was a good time for a good cause. That's the main thing, like whether it's, for the fundraiser or for what we're doing for the Hales, there's no reason we can't have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in a good cause. So we are caught up. We are relying on you out there, our audience, to provide more comments, and yeah, they're out there somewhere. And especially if you're watching us on the rerun, please leave us a comment. We will try to get back to you. Even if you're a Russian porn bot, we will reply to you. You see, here's the thing. Here's a little broadcasting tip I picked up. Engagement is what is important, right? The interaction between us and the audience. Well, I kept getting these Russian porn bots, hey, for a good time, Conrad, come to this website, naked boulevards, yes. But anyway,
you never visited my website, by the way. I'm offended.
I did under an alias. I had a VPN, so we'll talk later. Anyway, but no, and I did download everything. But anyway, I realized after a while that when I would cancel out their comments, I'm losing engagement. So lizard brain kicked in. And so what I do is I write comments to the porn bots now. They are not terribly complimentary, but they are replies, and it counts. So,
engagement is engagement. So yeah,
exactly right. So when I say, hey, I know you, Russian porn bot, I love your pictures, but you're a scummy little virus site. You're a petri dish for viruses. So if anyone wants to go there, it's on your head, not ours. So their comment stays up. People laugh at me. It's all good. See? Brian does know what he's doing occasionally. But anyway, and also, if you want more tips, more life hacks like this, be sure to like this broadcast. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. But definitely subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, because we got a lot more content coming up. And here he is, Mr. Ted Davies. Ted, thank you for your contribution. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, superheroes. Good evening to a real superhero, Ted Davies Artistry. Check him out. He is very talented. Go to teddaviesartistry.com. and be amazed. Anyway.
Actually, I have to say, Ted's been putting out some really interesting watercolor illustrations.
I've been noticing those.
Yeah. I love them. They're so
cool.
creative. It's brilliant work, Ted. Really.
Watercolor is so tough too.
Yeah, he's
When I've dabbled in it, oh man.
I mean, like I hadn't like I love your Grim 101 work. It's great. This is like I don't know, man. It's just on a whole other level. You really stepped it up. I'm digging it a lot.
You should do an art book with all of them.
I agree. Yeah.
I agree. I gotta agree with Brian here that of course I'm a fan of his too. And I'm not saying that just because I'm the editor of Grim 101, but I like his work. I really am a huge fan of it. But there is just something about this kind of steampunky thing he's doing now, this phase of his art growth that is just like it's like a whole new you, Ted, and I approve. Not that I'm saying anything was wrong with the old Ted, okay? There were a lot of things that were wrong with the old Ted, but that's for a professional to decide. But anyway, we love you and we love Chris.
I never met old Ted. I only met, the Ted that we make fun of on the other show where he's a mixologist in corporate Ted. Nobody messes with corporate Ted.
Oh,
corporate
you never met
very, 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 if I could say, evil at times.
I prefer to think of him as soulless.
Machiavellian.
Yeah, definitely. And Ted says, Rodman, thank you for the compliments. BKM, thank you too. And
hey, man, you earned it. I gotta say, it always makes me stop when I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same here. Same here. Brother, I think you're onto something is what we're saying. So definitely. And Ted 2.0 says, I am darkness. More like dorkness, like the rest of us. And Carl Whitson says, you never met Green Room, Ted?
I have.
Yeah.
I've met Green Room Ted.
Yeah.
I went out with Green Room Ted to a sushi bar.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh, that's right. You did. That's right.
Yeah, I did. Really?
Yeah, you did. I just remembered. Yeah, you're right. Well, I got to sit next to him at HalloCon this last year. So
ooh, nice.
Actually, I was sitting next to Christine, but that's another issue. But anyway,
he didn't bring her.
Well, he had you. Bar. See,
well, that's true.
Yeah, and yes, we did. Oh no, excuse me, you forgot the comment there. Yes, we did.
No, you said it right the first time.
Yes, we did, Ron. Wrap Brian up in seaweed and anyway,
roll me up and you know what to do.
Oh yeah,
put some soy sauce on me, baby. Lather it up. Do it.
More sake.
Imagine the beard hairs in my mouth now.
You know you like that.
Yeah, that's why Ted was walking away from the table going.
with my beard hairs. Yeah.
Because it's very important to floss when you're done eating. And thank God he's laughing. Anyway. So enough of the fun. Anyway. No. We're going to go from fun to lots of fun. We're going to start out with Brian Rodman here. Oh, Brian, man. What you got?
Well, not fun, actually. No.
Truth in advertising.
Very close. So, all right. This is going to be like a bit of like topic / review. And what I mean by that is it's just going to be like more so just talking about what I think about this comic, not necessarily reviewing the story. And you'll understand what I mean in a second. So on the show, we intentionally don't really talk about religion and politics. That's just not our bag. Every now and then, though, we come across books that have to do with mythology or, things that can slip into a religion territory. And this book actually does that. And it's The Temptation of Jesus by Simon Fletcher from Fishcoin Press. And Fishcoin Press, just to...
Not Mel Gibson? Darn.
No, it's not Too Passion, Too Christ. But no, Fishcoin Press is actually a publishing company that I've paid attention to quite a bit. Many of you know and follow my work. I'm a Christian. My work is inspired by my faith. But I am open about how much I hate Christian entertainment. I just do. I think it really leans into the family friendly crap that isn't bad, but it really does. Like, it just seems like in the 90s, that's all Christian stories could be. And it really trapped the mythos and the theology and the doctrine into this bubble where you could not tell a story and be within the Christian genre if it was more than a PG rating, pretty much, which is funny because the Bible is like NC-17. But Fishcoin Press, Fishcoin Press, they've caught my eye over the last couple years. You know, I don't like Christian entertainment, so when I find Christian entertainment that is good quality, I'm very excited about it. So this popped up on Kickstarter last year. It is available from Fishcoin Press right now on their website. And I was really pumped. I was like, sweet, this is, you know, they usually do like essays in comic book form. So it's a lot of like more theological, more theology heavy study kind of essays that are in comic books, or they're illustrated prose and things like that. And it's just really, really profound art, which you'll see here in a second from this book. Just really good quality. And most of the writers that they get are very eloquent, very well put together. Just I mean, a lot of them have degrees in theology, so they really know what they're talking about. It's not just Joe Schmo who has an opinion. And like, you know, so it's those two things combined, always great quality from this studio. So I get this comic, and immediately, I mean, the cover is just something that you don't really think of when you think of Jesus or when you think of the temptation in the desert, for those who know the story. Just a lot of really vivid colors, a lot of some you know, spiritual imagery here. And I was really excited about it. This book is by Simon Fletcher, and you know, immediately when you open, I loved the 2-page spread. Normally, you know how much we love our 2-page spread title pages here, but this actually has art with it. So I like it. It actually makes sense to have it like this. It's a good design. And it immediately starts off with Jesus's baptism, which the artwork here is pretty good. It's not bad, but I started reading it, and it's bad. like it's
throw it now.
Hold on. It's just bad writing, and I'm going through like the first couple pages, and I'm like, it's just like regurgitation from the Bible, and not very well laid out. Like, it just all falls really flat, or, you know, I don't know. It's really cheesy. And then, you know, John the Baptizer is baptizing Jesus, and they do the exact same dialogue that you can read in any, you know, translation of the Bible, which kind of irks me a little bit. I'm like, you know, I get it. Like, a lot of people feel like they can't go beyond that, but guys, if you're telling a story, put some creativity in it. The Bible is not meant to
say, "Yo, my homeboy, you know, this is what you need to do after." That's what you're expecting.
I mean, just like, you know, like something that is you know, a little bit, I don't know, a little bit more creative than just copy and paste.
So this is
Bible.
Biblical regurgitation done poorly, as opposed to biblical regurgitation done well.
Obey, odd gay, of delay, of day,
so biblical regurgitation done well necessarily isn't a thing, but like taking what the
regurgitation,
right, taking what the scene is saying in the Bible, keeping some pivotal phrases and things like that. For example, I don't mind using Memoirs of an Angel as an example for this. In the latest issue, Memoirs of an Angel, issue 8, we have a flashback. One of the angels has a flashback to the demoniac with Legion, and I didn't use the words that were in the text in John. I didn't. I read them and I told the same story. The characters said pretty much the same things, but it was more fit for a story that you would find in a comic book that modern readers could be entertained by, actually, relate to characters, things like that. Ancient texts aren't meant to do that. So to take that straight from an ancient text and put it in a storybook or put it in a comic book or a novel, it's boring. Like, that's not the place for this. And unfortunately, this does that. And whenever it kind of strays from it, it doesn't do it well. However, you turn to pages like this.
Ooh, nice.
Where, if you know the story, this is where Jesus is baptized, and it's essentially the first vision of the Trinity. So you've got, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit all in the same place visually. And this is probably one of the best pieces of art I've ever seen to depict that scene. And so here's my struggle with this book, because I'm like, okay, the dialogue, the narrative, it's terrible. It's not good. But the artwork is brilliant. I mean, you're walking, so you've got simple panels. He does simple panels well. Jesus has now gone out into the wilderness, and the artwork does what it's supposed to. It tells the story, and it tells the story in abstract ways alongside practical images. So Jesus in this image is heading up to a mountain, and at the bottom of this panel, you start seeing colors and shapes taking form that in the next panel turn into cosmic beings that aren't really like anything you've seen before traditionally. Which, as you know, if you read Memoirs of an Angel, that's huge for me. I wanted my angels to look like monsters. I wanted them to be something that someone would actually be scared of. I didn't want them to be chubby babies with wings. And I love it when artists don't go that direction. I love it when they, stay true to the weird aspect of how angels and demons look. And I mean, like, you've got really just cool imagery with the different demons and different monsters that Jesus faces during his temptation. And it's just, the imagery in this is so profound. It is so beautiful. And, just check this out. Like, brilliant looking artwork. And then, the scene where Jesus is taken to the top of the temple and, shown the Satan is essentially telling him, I will give you everything in the world. Right. And like, this is that scene. So you're seeing all the major cities of the world, all the things that have been, that are present and in the future that he's offering Jesus. So artwork like this, paired with dialogue like this, angers me. Because I'm just like, and it's the same guy. Clearly he is an artist first. And I think I have not read anything else that Simon Fletcher has done. So I can't speak to any of his other works, but I can say, just judging off of this one, I mean, I don't even regret buying this because it's so visually stunning. I would, about halfway through the book, I realized this book would be 10 out of 10 amazing if it didn't have dialogue. Not because the dialogue is bad, but because the artwork tells the story. You don't need words. So I kind of reread it without paying attention to the dialogue, and it was so much better. So I would still tell people to get this. Because the artwork is so good, because it's so different from anything that represents these type of stories. So artwork alone, 10 out of 10. Dialogue, 2 or 3 out of 10. Because there's a couple of times where he lands things a little bit. So unfortunately, that brings it down to about a 6 out of 10. And I think I'm probably being generous with that. And I'm not going to throw it because the artwork is too precious to me. It is a really beautiful book. Unfortunately, the words really ruin it. But I will say this. This
The
is
scripture ruins this book.
I mean, the way it's presented, yes, it does.
I noticed the artists on this panel were both chuckling when you described the dialogue.
See now what Brian just did here opens up a topic that is almost like the bane of my existence. Because the first thing that came to my mind is, why didn't they just do an art book? And it would have been perfectly fine. Why did they have to try to cross the medium to move more into the comic?
Right.
Which doesn't work as well.
So what Fishcoin Press, they're like the creator, I think his name's Jared Burgess. Mm-hmm. He is I think he has a PhD and he's a brilliant artist and he loves comic books. And all of his essay stuff is in comic book form. I have a ton of it. So what I was going to say is go to Fishcoin Press if you're interested in something like this. Check out their other stuff. They've got great books. A lot of it's like I said, a lot of it's essays, but not boring stuff. Like he's very engaging, and the artwork is just like this. It's very, very well done. Very great quality books. And so don't let this deter you. Don't let the words in this deter you from the publishing company, because it is really good stuff. I think what happened here was they just really wanted to put out a comic book, like you said, Joe. And I mean, it doesn't even need to, I didn't think it even needed to be an art book. I love comics that don't have words. I think those books are really cool. I love them. I think it was last year or 2020 that I reviewed a Comixology comic that didn't have words, and it was about a break-in. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do.
It was brilliant. It didn't need any dialogue. Neither does this. And unfortunately, they went with the more traditional, because it's also a risk not having any kind of words in the book. That can be a risk. So I understand.
Unless you're Larry Hama.
Well,
I was gonna say.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're an indie publisher and you're kind of getting your feet wet still with the comic book industry like they are, I can see how that could be a little intimidating. But I really wish they would have just done that, because this book would have been so much better. I mean, most people know the story, and if they don't, you can go to the Bible and read it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's not available everywhere. So, like, you could literally read, know that you could Wikipedia the summary of it and still understand exactly what's going on in this book.
Go to a Super 8 and look in the dresser drawer.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, like, I wish they would have gone a different direction with the writing. But I can't say enough good things about the artwork in this book. Very well done.
Well, Brian, what you need to do is get like some white construction paper, 2 or 3 sheets of it, and a pair of scissors and a ballpoint pen and some rubber cement. Then you just cut out the word balloon shapes, and then write your own dialogue in there.
I don't have time.
Satan, only one of us will leave this fight alive.
I have 15 novels to write. I don't have time for that.
You got till Monday. Anyway, That is very cool. Well, that did look good. That looked good. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
And we also have comments now. We have, boy, do we have comments. And talking back to the sushi part of the program, Fred Davies goes, all I have to say was Godzilla was there.
And it was awesome. That restaurant was really cool. It really was.
Does sound good. And Parallax Spectre has joined us. Mwah, Leia, how you doing? Howdy, fellow Fez loving comic bookians. How are you? Good to see you and everyone. And we are apparently live because it's 7:22. Carl Wisman said 5 minutes until the asteroid passes close to the Earth tonight. It was like a little over 2,000 miles away.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in
the size of a moving truck, I think, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it was the size of a moving truck, and I don't know. I don't think that's extinction level, but
Hey, we saw Night of the Comet. We know what happens.
that's true. There
Eric
we
would
go.
love it.
Hey, I saw
new
Yeah.
zombies.
I saw Deep Impact.
And all
both
the
of
other
them.
400 films that came out that month, the same thing.
Hey,
But no,
Night of the Comet, you just gotta go find a mall and you'll be okay.
There you
that's
go.
right. My God. But no, in scientific terms, like it was like 23,000, like 2,000 miles split and change. According to cosmologists, that's a near hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is like one of the closest ones we've had that didn't actually land up in killing dinosaurs and stuff or leveling part of Russia.
I'd say it was about 10 years
See,
ago. There
now
was
you're
one
getting
that
me
passed
thinking-
between the moon and the Earth, and they didn't even see it until it had already passed.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They saw this one, what, Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Found it.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, by the way.
By the way, we
Get
may
your
die.
fares in order.
Yes.
Right. Think
Or
fast.
no, it doesn't matter.
That's
I'm
right.
just seeing shades of Thundar the Barbarian all of a sudden.
That's right. There we go. Parallax Spectre says hi, and yes, the Bible is hardcore, like RoboCop Criterion.
That's the best thing I've heard all day.
Yes. This is why we love you, Leo. You are definitely one of us, and I like Jeebus.
I like it in Jeebus. You know what I
Jeebus
mean?
is just all right with me. And how is it bad? That story's been around for 2,000 years.
Well,
That's true.
the story's good. This form is terrible.
Yeah. And Carl Wisman says, I'm waiting until they do the chapter with all the begats. That will be the telephone book edition.
Actually, no joke. I have seen somebody do it and do it well.
Okay,
Ooh.
good.
Yes, because what they did was they made a collage of all of the characters in the genealogy were illustrated beautifully
Okay.
throughout like a 2-page spread.
Is that the
It was-
Illustrated Bible?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember where I saw it.
I've got that.
Might have
one
been the
somewhere.
Action Bible.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I think
like
it
the
was
Action
in that.
Bible.
Yeah, it was pretty
Just as long
cool.
as they're not doing the whole Farmer and the Dale stick.
What?
Because everybody cannot do that right with the begots.
Oh, I want them all like with the Jack Kirby pose or something. Action-oriented Abraham.
Yeah,
That sort of thing.
that's pretty much all the Action Bible is. Brian, you would like that.
The Joe Kubert
Yeah.
Treasury Collection.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, that
Yes.
was layouts by Kubert and finishes by Nestor Redondo.
Yes.
One of the finest artists the Philippines have put out. Seriously, just Angel's Kiss. Material. It is. If you ever, I know they've reprinted it. I know DC has reprinted it fairly recent years. If you ever get a chance to get that, seriously get it. It's the story of Genesis. And I have never seen it look that good. And the script is by, correct me if I'm wrong, Clyde Sheldon Mayer.
I believe you're right.
Yeah, who created Sugar and Spike, The Black Orchid, and was the first editor at All American Comics. So
I'm not sure
Definitely
what format they reissued or repackaged, but maybe Hoopla, do you think?
yes, I have seen it on Hoopla. So definitely check it out there. And like you need a reason, Witzman, dude. This is Donna Carlene and Parallax Spectre. Where's the Rob Liefeld action comic book?
No one would have feet.
No ankles. No
and
ankles.
Jesus would be covered in pouches.
Yeah.
Never have hands.
Now, and Jesus picks up the cross and starts like going through the crowd like a scythe, saying something about this is
Yeah, his
personal.
version
He's
of the
got
Bible-
cross throwing knives. He pulls out the
Right, yeah.
pouches.
Which version of the Bible? Have you guys seen the College Humor video where the Terminator comes back and protects
Yes,
Jesus?
yes.
That would be Rob Liefeld's version of the Bible.
Oh God, yes. I feel filthy every time I see that thing and start laughing out loud. So yeah. If you throw a Bible-inspired comic, is that sacrilege? So let's see. Well, let's find out. Does Brian go to hell or not?
Did the asteroid
But
hit
he
or
didn't
not?
throw it.
The asteroid Eric's right. The asteroid missed us, so it is not. We have officially declared that it is not sacrilege. Pope, if you want to call us, we can verify this.
I mean,
Anyway.
at my sister and brother-in-law's church, every Super Bowl Sunday, they do a kickoff and they kick the Bible.
Okay.
Across the stage.
Oh, boy.
I'll let that simmer.
Yeah, I was
No,
gonna say,
first thing that came to
The
my mind is
the
old
silence there
Charlie
was
Brown
just
and
golden.
Lucy bit. I just see the old Charlie Brown and Lucy bit for that.
That would be awesome.
and I'm seeing what looks like an imperfect imitation of the Shazam move. It's like the lightning comes down, but instead of turning into a superhero, there's a pile of ash. And no listening only if you throw the actual Bible, says Meryl X Vector, and that's a dope page.
Yeah, there were so many amazing pages in that book.
That's right. And Leia says the asteroid's going to get Rodman for being a heathen. Hashtag confirmed.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. Let's be honest.
This is a target-rich environment, really, when you think about it, except for Clyde. Clyde's okay. But anyway. And
Why am I okay?
that's true. Guilt by
I've been
association.
kicked out of the club. I don't know.
Okay, fine. Fry with the rest of us then.
Yeah. Fine, Clyde, you're a terrible person. There you go.
Yeah, that was close, wasn't it? Closer to comment. But anyway, Sarah is with us. Rodman Rabbit. Mwah, Sarah, I love you, honey. Hope you're doing well. And hopping in for a bit. Glad to see you. And everyone's saying, hello. And behind the scene, what book is this? Well, it's the
Temptation.
The Temptation, yes.
Yep.
Remember my name, because apparently I can't. 8 watching and 5 likes. She's going to crack that whip. Dark Mistress is smoking, so... And let's see here. Let's see. Anybody? And Dark Pope. And sounds like they could have had a small passage on the page from the Bible, like pointing to what they were depicting, or even just like a little thing with the reference, so you could have the force you to read the original book and save your filthy souls, you heathens. And I found a butt bullet behind a Bible in a hotel I worked for in Champaign. Okay, thanks for sharing it, Sarah.
Oh.
Now it's a party.
That's right.
You thought kicking the Bible on Super Bowl Sunday was bad. Somebody's butt plugging the scriptures at a hotel.
I think I see that comment turning around now. And the asteroid must have missed us only on the first shot. And OMG, Deep Impact says Rodman Rabbit after I type about the butt bullet I found.
I thought somebody would be making some sort of joke when I said Deep Impact. Nothing. I got nothing.
We were just waiting for Sarah to deliver it.
Apparently.
So, yeah. So, and like Billy Bob Thornton says in Armageddon, with all due respect, it's a pretty badass guy. And true. And no idea why they have all these images of Jesus with America's features. He's Jewish. Well, yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with a lot of pictures of Jesus, because not all of them follow you around the room too when you move. So
immediately, if Jesus is white, they got it wrong.
Exactly. Same with Santa Claus and Superman. So anyway, thank God DC is on our side. But anyway, right, Sarah. And yeah, he would totally look different in any kind of reality. And I reserved a nice spot in the 7th level for us. Aw, that's sweet. I'm the girl that brings Satan his cigarettes. That's Leia, Satan's cigarette girl. I can just see it now, like the old commercials with Edie Adams from like back in my youth. Cigars, cigarettes, eternal damnation. Thank you, Leia. Thank you, Brian. Oh, my stomach. Anyway, so who would like to go next? Mr. Hawkins, well said, sir. Here we go.
And it'll be quick. It won't be long. It's
okay. That's what she said.
I didn't go. I was going to do Gospel 2 and 3. I stopped at 2.
Is that our clue?
Throw.
So
throw.
okay, so this was Gospel 1.
How appropriate, by the way.
Yeah,
with
we
the
got
giant boar. And one of the things I didn't like about this was it skipped around so much and had no captions on the top to tell you what was going on or when it was or anything. Like, it's supposed to be sometime in the past, of course, like medieval times. But then all of a sudden you jump to a page that's got a car and it looks like it's San Francisco and doesn't tell you anything. Well, this one. And no, it doesn't have Spawn in it. It even has it on the cover, which pissed me off. Now, here's the good takeaway from this. It starts on the front cover.
Oh, nice.
The art inside the front cover, and there's no ads through the entire book.
Ooh.
I like that.
Except for the last page, which says, get issue 3. Which unfortunately I did. But here's the problem. So we got so many captions. 25th September 1558. Oh, now we know the time. Mooring. 2 days earlier, Olnick tore beneath the ruined church of St. Rumpus. I don't know what St. Rumpus is.
There's a room named after him, apparently.
Yeah.
Then 25th September 1538 afternoon. 1 day earlier, the Chapel of St. Luke.
I know him.
The same day, afternoon.
This sounds exciting.
That evening, that night, just on 2 pages.
Did he write? Did he write the Rodman's book too?
And then it does kind of skip to like some kind of flashback, and there is no caption to tell you when.
Oh.
And so, the two
But
main
are there
people.
sound effects, Eric?
And skeleton horses.
Crack. Yeah, there's one.
Like, as in like crack or like drugs?
They hit their head on a table because they were hiding under it. Crack.
Oh,
But that's where they found the map, and the priest was extremely excited and very helpful and said, you need to go get Tip now, or Pip, or Pit.
Wait, whoa, the priest is talking about tips? Easy.
Yeah.
No, crack is what the writers were on when they put this together.
Yeah, that's where she cracked her head. And he's, they even hug and stuff. Oh, you found the map to find the hammer of something. What was it? It's not Thor's hammer. Oh, the hammer that smote the devil.
That's the thing?
Apparently, because the devil's taken over this town, apparently. And he's given them a week to surrender.
How nice of him.
So I don't know if he's the real devil. He kind of looks like he could be the devil. He's got goat head and the pentagram, so he's the devil, right?
I don't know.
That's what everybody
his
thinks.
stature looks as if there might be 2 children stacked on top of each other underneath that cloak.
And wearing a hat. But see, he magically disappears when she tries to stab him earlier, and he says, oh, here's the name of the hammer. It took Rumpus's blessed hammer to smite me 200 years ago.
Oh, good old Rumpus.
So now, Rumpus.
Rumpus, oh dear.
Is Saint Rumpus real?
I don't
Is
even
that a real
bother to
saint?
look that up.
That's an unfortunate name.
Okay, I'm on it, guys. Hold on.
Look it up. Okay,
And
so one of the other things, I'm not telling you much about the book other than I don't like it.
That's okay. This is more fun.
It kind of skips from, okay. I think I might mention this last time. Okay, the art's not bad, but then you get, let's see.
I do like the art.
This middle panel right here, like, jumps to manga. It's a manga face right there.
Oh, that one. I was like,
Yeah, this one.
yeah, it is a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, so it jumps around. At least this time I knew who the characters were, even though they did change clothes again. I kept up, and there wasn't.
Because you're smart.
Good job, Eric.
So the 2 main characters are going on a quest for Rumpus's holy hammer, a blessed hammer.
That's what I call mine.
The father has set them on.
Is the spirit of the comic at least funny?
No, there's no comedy in here at all.
Well, that's
Oh, yes, there is.
there is, just not intentionally.
Other than the devil, who do you think is the bad guy?
The priest.
It's got to be the priest, right?
Yeah,
So.
has to be the priest.
It's going to be the priest. I'm pretty sure of that.
Torn from the headlines.
It's going to because he's even got an evil look on his face. Well,
Of course he does.
maybe this guy just draws everybody like that.
Oh gosh, I would not go to his church.
The last time I saw a clergyman looking like that, he had a hunchback working the bell tower. So
Wasn't that the guy from Lady Hawk?
yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I did do the in-depth research that you've come to expect from me, there is no Saint Rumpus.
Well, that's
that could have took you down a bad path.
Yeah, they could. There were ads for a magazine called The Rumpus, but other than that, there was no Saint Rumpus.
Let's cut that priest a little slack. If your hair looked like that, you'd probably be mad too.
Yeah.
Prince
I
finally
paid
got
good
away
money
with
for
it.
this haircut.
You just get the vibe he's gonna be trouble down the road, and
well, yeah, I
and
saw him.
Then some lady, I think it's Matilda's mom, shows up and then kicks some dude out of a chair and sits there like a throne and is sending an assassin after Matilda now. So I don't know.
Do it.
I am going to read issue 3 for next week. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to see how bad this gets.
I want to see if it's the little rascals underneath the Baphomet costume. That's what I want.
Damn it, Rodman, we're going to find out. Oh, and the other thing, guess what? There was no San Francisco scene in this one, even though they put it right in the middle of the other one.
What in the hell?
Let's see. Devil. Oh, here's the San Francisco scene.
Oh, yay.
Oh, okay. And what the hell? And now it just jumps into pages like this now.
That looks like an ancient instruction book.
On how to wield the holy rumpus hammer.
Although you may go blind.
Darn it, I don't even think the devil's in this one. I'm not picking up 4 to see the devil.
The devil, you say?
Oh, here's the assassin. Fear me! I wear the uniform of a jester.
And I have an expression that goes from A to B.
Oh, here's some pages from issue 4 coming out. Nope, no devil in this one.
Is San Francisco in there?
So it was. That was in. But it wasn't in 2, which pissed me off. So I'm giving it a 2.
Ooh.
I'm giving it a 2. I mean, some people might like it. The story is boring as hell. There's nothing really going on. But if you like...
If you like boring stories.
Some people might like this type of book. It's like...
Some people also like eating glue.
Maybe a boring medieval story. So if you like King Arthur, you don't want this. This is if King Arthur was too exciting for you. In its original text.
Oh
God.
Man, I don't know where to throw stuff in this room. Yeah, 2, but hey, I'm going to review the next one too.
Okay.
I might even pick up 4.
Look at you. You're a
Because
crazy
now I gotta
man.
know.
Somebody
If there's 2
stop
kids
him.
in the devil costume. If it's
Hey
a little
man,
rascal.
and you know what I got to tell you? If it is, that's a huge payoff.
It will be, yeah.
Yeah.
It could be.
If the devil is just 2 children
Just
stacked
pop
up.
It's
worst
spanking
dangerous
alfalfa.
That's smoting. That's smoting with a rumpus hammer. Just split him into.
Well, I used to work my rumpus hammer when I was a teenager.
And
It was
remember-
a lonely life.
Remember, kids, if you're suffering badly, just pray to good old Saint Rumpus. He'll help you out.
That's it, Brian. You're a genius. We got to start marketing our Saint Rumpus candles. Smell this.
Farts.
I am so on this.
Scented candle.
Yeah, what's it smell like? That's the thing.
I feel like there's going to be an end joke here with the priest being the bad guy and Saint Rumpus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
evil priest.
Maybe it's
Their
the hammer
saint is
hitting
Saint
his
Rumpus.
rumpus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
maybe
the
we don't
end
want
joke.
Spanky. Maybe we don't want Spanky and Alfalfa being the two that find him. You know.
Oh, this is going down a dark path.
Yes, it is, and leave it to me to light the way.
Who's your favorite little rascal? Spanky? Your favorite baseball team, the Yankees?
Oh boy,
Money well spent.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm really glad you spent that money because that was hilarious.
That was funny.
It was,
good.
yeah.
I like it when you just roast comics.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
Yeah, it makes us happy we didn't waste our money
It
on
was
that
really
shit.
hard to read.
It sounded like it was hard to read. A lot of big words for you. Is that why?
There's not really big words in it. I mean, Rumpus is probably the biggest one. Then there's some, okay, so is it 1558 or whatever? And some of the dialogue, kind of reflects an older time period. Then some doesn't. I'm like, what does that mean? That's stupid.
That jumping around is just that kills the whole vibe, especially for the first part of a run.
Yeah.
I read a book the other day. I started to, and the first chapter is okay. This is not they didn't even use it as a forward or anything where they could have maybe got away with it. Chapter 1. Let me tell you how time is kept in this world. And they go through this conversation, this arithmetic on how you can determine what the year categorizations are for this world, which takes place in a modern world, but I guess not ours. And I got about halfway through the first chapter.
So, in other words, they
We're
took you
done.
through their concept of a clock.
Yeah.
That sounds.
They just couldn't say,
riveting.
here's how the clock works.
How about
in
just
this
starting with
universe.
something and then explain it as you go along? I mean,
Yeah.
if you have to, but it had
Well,
a
'cause
very
I like books where like progressively they give you little history nuggets.
Well, yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
fun.
What they
This
need
one-
is good editing.
Yes.
Really good editing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
This one had a concept that was fun. I read the blurb on the I was like, this sounds great. And I hit that. It was like, when you go, look, it's a smooth road, and then all you find are potholes. You just-
Well, I'll tell you a good
It was like the
example of
first
that as
issue
well.
of this. No captions tell you where you're going. It's jumping around all over the place. This one, there's too many captions. It's jumping to every other page. And sadly, it's made me think about Zama for World of Oz number 5, because the first 3 pages start out with Dorothy and the Scarecrow in peril. And then I'm going to tell what happened to lead to that.
Yes.
So now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do this now. Maybe I should just put this at the end.
No.
But you knew how to do it right.
Communicate it well, then it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it correctly and set the example.
So
Run it by your editor. He'll let you know.
like, I think a good example for that was, like, we all know Star Wars. That's, when The Last Jedi, and I liked The Last Jedi. We don't have to get into that. But, like, at the beginning, I understand.
Surely we do.
But at the beginning, when Poe Dameron drops a mama joke, it took me out completely.
Yeah.
I was like, this is Star Wars. Like, what is this?
Let me put you on hold, please. I'm like,
Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, what is happening? So yeah, I completely understand that. Like, it's just like when you get a universe, like you're getting into like the feel of it all, and then like some random modern phrase jumps in, and you're like, why?
Or Luke
Why'd
Skywalker
you
starts sucking on space cow teat.
I actually thought that was hilarious. So I did not mind that at all. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, he got in there, man. He was just into it. I was like, something's wrong. Who hurt you, sir?
Space cow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, Okay.
Luke, your blue milk has gone bad from the first movie.
Now, see, what they don't tell you is it starts out green straight from the teeth,
That's right.
and then it gets blue once it's been refrigerated.
Yeah,
It's the pasteurization.
Pasteurization,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the pasteurization process that turns.
Ugh.
It takes out the yellow.
Oh no!
Ugh.
I have a new mental image of what a moisture farm now is. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Oh god. And I've got this old toothpaste ad from when I was a kid running through my head.
What
You
toothpaste
wonder
did you
where the
use?
yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. And now I'm like, they
Was
filter
that
it
from
through
was that
toothpaste.
from the 20s, the radio days?
Yeah, this was from they used to do it on Telegraph.
Oh,
Yeah, just before the Pony Express would run through. Yeah,
Telejingles, yeah. I remember
yeah,
that.
that's it. Yeah.
Smoke signals.
I thought you were going for the cavity creep, though, Brian.
Oh no! That's for another show. We haven't heard Joe's review yet, so I may try to work that in there somehow. So. But
No,
working
go
it in,
ahead.
we're going.
Go
Joe's
ahead,
like,
tell
don't you
about
say
the
a word
cavity
during mine.
That's history. That's actual history.
That's right.
True. That's
That's
true.
right.
Sarah, Parallax Spectre is is Satan's cigarette girl, as we've established. Sarah wants her to bring a pack while you're at it, and we got you, Sarah. Oh, sweet. And is Saint Rumpus the one who used that butt bullet that Sarah found?
I hope so.
There is only one way to find out, and I ain't touching it,
Yeah.
literally. And good evening to Teresa Dunn. Mwah, glad to see you, Teresa. You picked the wrong night to be here. And everyone's saying hello to Teresa. And Carl said, I must have read the wrong Bible. I don't remember a hammer either, nor the butt thing either. And no, that not Satan. I know Satan. That is a bad cosplayer. Okay,
It's in a costume. That's
good
what
point.
it is.
Good point. And don't forget the pentangle and a pentagram are completely different. This is the learning place.
Yep.
This is where you get the information you can use in life. So I hope you wrote it down. And good evening, Matthew McHale. I hope you're doing well tonight. And and this is the story of the hotels in Champaign, Illinois. White Spawn the Road. And Richard E. Grant should play him on the Netflix show, The Bad Priest. Well, you see Richard E. Grant, and you just assume he's the bad guy. Is the thing. So.
Yeah,
In these stories, says Sarah. And skip the comics, go back to woodcuts. And the Rumpus Hammer helps keep the butt bullet in place when there's no lube.
Ooh.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah will be hosting this show next week. Anyway, at least Wildcats had that dope ad for Blue Beetle.
Yeah, just when I wish the book had an ad.
Yeah. Please save me. Give me some advertising. And you threw trade values to Sarah. And Devil is actually two scorned older boys. And the Devil rules is Matthew McHale. Why do I feel like I ought to be playing ghost music now? And hello, Molly Daniels. Mwah, you picked the wrong night to be here too. And welcome, Molly. And the cavity creeps also rule. And everyone's saying, and you're welcome, says Sarah. Thank you, darling. To the abyss and back forever and always. Oh, so who wants to follow that? Okay, fine. I
got what the crowd popular book here that was voted.
Oh,
so
that's
I
true.
don't know
That's true.
when I
We
should go.
have
I think everybody else is having too much fun
Is
right
it the
now.
Powerbomb book?
No.
Dang it.
I'm out of here.
I want
quit.
to
be in my
I
trailer.
want to really start really going hard on that book because it's good.
Good.
But
As opposed to
like I
what we've
said,
been
what's
talking about
borderline
tonight
is
so
even
far.
more
was gonna say-
popular and more powerful. Oh, so you just like, here, Joe, just go ahead and do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Dennis!
Do it.
you have been chosen.
Don't ask Clyde. Like, hey, are you ready? Like, no, just go
Hi,
ahead.
folks. I'm Joe D. McFee.
Joe, you look so different.
Yeah. I also play Jesus.
Yes. This is how we part the chat.
Unfortunately, the chat is fairly united on this issue. So,
Yeah. Oh, in this case, yes, it is, because what they voted for tonight
yes.
has been a crowd pleasing favorite, and we're in part 5 or issue number 5 of it, and that is the ever popular It never
Yay!
gets stale.
Yes.
8
Oh
billion
yeah.
views.
Mhm.
Everybody knows it is Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. Tag team back again for issue number 5. Now, if you haven't paid attention to the first 4 issues, go back and rewatch everything. I'm not going to cover it. You missed out. We're just going to go right into this one because it starts out with kind of a origin story to one of the main characters that had made his appearance at the very end of issue number 4. And we're going to talk about the guy by the name of, if I remember correctly, Floyd Fall. So here we go. It goes to 1980. Population is somewhere about a little over 4 billion, and there's only one genie at this point. So we get, congratulations, Miss Fall. It's a boy. So now we get the character born. So it flash forward to like 1982, where the little kid is taking his milk and taking like his peas and stuff. It looks like he's eating dinner. He mixed them together, and the mother looks over at Horace like, no, that is just so disgusting. Stop doing stuff like that. And then we fast forward a little bit more to 1988, where he's playing with his toys and everything, and he gets bullied a bit and everything. And the kids, it's like, what type of game it is? It's like, it looks stupid, and they just, really just let him have it and whatnot. We get to 1986, where he's running for student council, and pretty much he gets pulled off the stage. 2007, ran the idea for a job, not a job, but a presentation at his job. People are bored, and they just, everything that he does idea-wise, he just getting the worst in, including in 2011, where he proposes to this one girl. She straight flat out turns him down.
Womp.
Which brings us to a council meeting where he has another idea that he's going to bring to the city council when G-Day, as they call it, the day that the genies showed up, happens. And as this happens, he's like, oh, really? It's like, I have a wish. People will be, it's like, I have a wish. And his wish is people will believe in me. And the genie was like, oh, interesting. Looking forward to seeing how that one works. And poof, we go into where we left off in the first 8 months, where we're currently at right now, which is about 50 million people still left in the world, about 458,000 genies still left. And we're back where Bobby, the son that was the little bitty boy that was in the bar, coming to this one big complex, and he gets invited in and whatnot. And this is where we meet Floyd for the first time in continuity. He calls himself the Idea Man. And well, there's something to that, the aspect of him being the Idea Man and whatnot. But he tells him it's like his real name is like he has a wife and he has a daughter by the name of Corinne and everything to that magnitude. And Robbie, I should say, pretty much tells him his story about, it's like, yeah, he's out here, trying to find a safe place for his mother and father and everything. And then he sees what was inside the complex, which is a virtual paradise. And everything he said, and he pretty much stated that it's like, yes, it's pretty much everything is pretty much a combination of everybody working together, even though other people helped them to get to this point. It was his idea that always spawns what goes on. So it's more along the lines like he has power, but he doesn't really have power. But the thing that is a constant theme is, do you believe in him? So that's the reason why, you know, he's kind of like asking the questions before he, you know, makes an agreement with Robbie. But the thing about it is, this is the only place that is safe where there's so many genes that's still around. It's almost like they're harvesting all the remaining genies that's in the world. So back at the bar, so the scene shifts back at the bar where pretty much the rest of the world is pretty much destroyed outside of the bar and outside of the place where Robbie is at right now. So the so-called genie is pretty much kind of like calming everybody else down and whatnot, and, you know, trying to get people to understand it's not safe to go outside as of yet because the world is destroyed. The world is, you know, pretty much a very toxic place and everything. And this is where the people start questioning everything. It's like, hey, we thought you genies cannot do something like this. You just can't flat out kill off people. And, you know, that he, you know, the guy that claims that he is a genie was pretty much, that's not how all this stuff works. And that they don't like complex wishes. And that's when we get into this whole idea about, you know, what is considered a complex wish and why they don't like certain, you know, certain wishes and everything to that magnitude. So while all of this stuff is going on, you know, they have it, you know, the people in the bar is having all of these separate little conversations and everything amongst themselves, trying to understand what's going to happen to the world now, since everything is pretty much destroyed, because they're thinking they're the last people on Earth and that they're the ones that have the last genies. So while they're trying to figure out all this different stuff and everything, we have the one couple where the guy sitting right here now has the ability to survive in this world, you know, and be able to go, you know, go to and fro if need be, talking to his wife who is still pregnant and whatnot. And, you know, they're up here finding out for the first time that they're having a baby girl and whatnot. And, you know, everything is, you know, they're still trying to keep things above board and happy and everything. So as we go along with all these different conversations, months are passed. So you have to pay attention to the captions here. So it's like in month 4, all this stuff was being talked about. Month 5, you know, he finally finds out that he having a daughter and everything to that magnitude. Month 6, the mother who was brought back to life is still thinking about, you know, her I think it was her 8-year-old son who is still out there in the other place that we just mentioned. You know, it's like, you know, she's up here wondering, you know, what is wrong? Why would he leave us like this? And then she's up here, it's like, no, he's still alive. It's like, you know, the genies have made certain of this, that, or the other, but she's getting worried that he forgotten about them and that he moved on and whatnot. And that was not the case and everything. And you know, the father was like, well, that's perfectly fine. Maybe it's for the best. And she really wouldn't, you know, she really, you know, didn't like the answer and everything. And then she got to the point where it's like, well, I'm about to get ready to go out there. And it's like, unlike everybody else, I'm already dead. So what's the worst that can happen to me? It's like everybody else is still alive. They could actually lose their lives. She's actually dead. That, you know, she was wished back to life and whatnot and everything. And as she was about to get ready to leave to go search for Robbie, the Malaysian couple, or I should say the Chinese couple, because they would speak Mandarin for some reason, if you paid attention to like the caption and whatnot, the baby starts to be delivered. She's actually going to labor. So she, you know, pretty much do like a 180. As they're about to get ready to have the baby and whatnot, this is where some of the other people in the crowd was pretty much getting kind of antsy and wondering what happens when this baby comes into this world. And they're about to get ready to think about using a wish to not have this baby born, and pretty much do overheard it and was about ready to draw down on some people until the birth of the baby. And everything seems normal. The genies was pretty much okay with it and whatnot. And unfortunately, the baby gets one too. That was the whole purpose of the scene. So now there's one extra genie to be worried about. But in our case, the baby is too young to really make a wish in some form or some fashion here. So pretty much everybody's happy that the baby was born and everything to that magnitude. Which brings us back to the other citadel that Robbie is at. And this is in the 7th month, in month 7 since everything had happened. And Robbie is pretty much kind of like the ideal guy's right-hand man as far as force is concerned and everything, because of the nature of what his wish was and everything to that magnitude. And this is where we get the idea of how powerful that he is. So this one guy comes back. It comes back with this one device. It's like, I have it right here. It's like a scroll. I have it right here. And it's like, they said it was complicated to engineer, but I have it. So pretty much, he's looking over the scroll and whatnot, and they say, well, Sergeant, get everybody together. We'll be making our rounds and whatnot here in a few minutes. Just make certain that I don't get disturbed. And we've tried to figure out, why does he need not to be disturbed? And then this is where we find out what his true power is, because again, people believed in him, and it's his spawn. So we have a full page where he wishes the world back to life, to the way that it was. And he did it in such a way where it doesn't reset everybody back, not the people who have died, but those who are still there. The life that was where the earth can survive with life, including bringing back animals and all this other stuff. And that was the thing that about the wishes and everything, and why there's so many genies that were still there, and about everybody working together. And because of the fact that people believe in him, he could make these things come back to the way that is were and influence people to understand the bigger picture. So he uses the wish and everything, and as we can see back at the bar, outside the bar, everything is slowly going back to normal. And this is where the bartender is being like, okay, everybody, it seems like it's a lot safer now. People start to leave. So we have the first group of people, the people who were part of the band and whatnot, they leave first. And then the couple who had the baby leaves a week after that, and everything. They find a way. They're about to get ready to find a way to make their safe travel to wherever their destination is. And then on the 3rd week of the 8th month, Robbie comes back. So Robbie comes back for his mom and dad, and they head off to wherever the idea man is at and everything to that magnitude. And the only thing that remains is the bartender and the bar. And that concludes the 8th month. But then again, what happens 8 years after that is the question. What did the idea man start? We won't know until we get to issue number 6. So we see so far in the series, we saw the worst of man, how dangerous wishes can be, how wishes could bring back people, but yet it's not permanent. If the person who wish an individual back happens to die, the person that they brought back also dies too. We know that wishes can get canceled and all this other stuff. And then now we have an individual who makes what seems to be a simple wish having so much influence and power that it doesn't make any sense. And that wish was people believing in him. How much power does that really yield an individual? And for him to be a guy of ideas on top of that, where is he's going to lead the rest of the world after he brings it back, after he just brought it back? We don't know, but we're going to find out in issue number 6. So with that being stated here, as we call for everybody to mark their bingo cards, we'll give 8 Billion Genies issue number 5 out of this 8-issue series a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Very nice.
Yep.
Hey guys, I'm fading fast. I need to head out. So, but
Okay.
I wanted to hang around and tell everybody goodbye, and
Okay.
y'all have a good night.
All right.
I'll
Love
see you
you.
All
later.
right.
Bye,
Take care.
Brian.
Bye.
Now we can talk about him. Okay.
No,
He
we
is
know what
Saint
we know
Roma.
what we know what he did. He followed the Eric Hawkins brand of nutrition.
Yeah,
He ate that Twinkie, and now he got to go down and lay down and take a nap.
that's right. That's right. Follow us for more life hacks. Let's see. I had some comics here. But I think I'll save them for the for visiting our page on Facebook, the Comic Book Spectrum page,
Mhm.
and I will be doing some reviews hopefully this week. I've had some deadlines this week, so but
And I
this
didn't make my deadline because that's coming to our group.
oh there we go, there we go.
Oh yeah.
I'm writing
Yeah.
a review for this for our group. So
Yeah, but like okay,
Mhm.
this one, meh. This one, this one, ooh la la. And also, I'm going to skip a couple here, but my choice for the best comic this week.
No.
I was thinking about getting that.
It's actually pretty good. I give it a 9 out of 10 myself, unless I change my mind by the time I write my review. It's basically Mad Max with a little bit of supernatural stuff mixed in, and it's really good. I was genuinely surprised if Archie wants to put together one of these, a series of this, I would pick it up. So it is good stuff. So if I'm not going to give any more reviews, then I guess that just leaves one of us then. Mr. Clyde Hall. Clyde, what have you got for us?
It's gold standard time.
Hey, I'm not
That's
doing
right.
reviews either. Remember?
Good night, everyone.
It's topic night, but
That's right.
I
Well, if
did-
you want to go into a topic, that's fine.
yeah, I did pick up some books, pretty decent books this week. My top of the pick, Junkyard Joe,
Yes.
number 4.
Yes. I forgot
Oh,
I had that one too. That
Nice, nice. This continues to be one of my favorite books.
gets better every month.
Al Ewing follows up his very, very fine Ant-Man retrospective with a 4-issue series of The Wasp, looking at her history. Not so much history as the other one, although we do see some flashbacks to when she first became the Wasp. But it's a whole different kind of take. It's her and her stepdaughter, I believe. That's also a Wasp. So they are together, but we get flashbacks to where her career started for Janet Van Dyne. So, but we got the same kind of covers of the different iterations of the Wasp. So I like the style. Different art team for this than the Ant-Man book, but it was my second favorite read this week. Sergeant Rock and the Army of the Dead. This is issue number 4, I think. 5 of 6. So we got one more. Pretty good. It continues. It kind of faltered after the first issue, but this is picking back up. So getting into the home stretch. Joe, I thought of you this week because I got to see this early, and then I got the actual book when it came out. On Comic Speed, I did a little blurb.
Yes, I'm waiting for my full set of it to come in the mail.
Okay. I was going to ask if you'd read it yet. I could hear the voices from the 90s cartoon in the dialogue. I could hear the voice actors.
They followed the 90s one as opposed to what they did in DuckTales in this more recent incarnation.
Right.
So it picks up right at the end of, somewhere in towards the last season of Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. And I liked the art. I thought it carried over quite well from that same aesthetic. I'd be very curious to hear how you take the storyline, because the writer is quite experienced. I didn't like the storyline as much as I thought I would. I'll just leave it at that.
Who is the writer?
The writer in it, and I looked her.
Bud.
No. I looked her up because she's written, I believe, screenplays and other books. And Amanda Dibert.
Okay, I know the name. Yeah.
Yeah. So having somebody as experienced as she is, I was a little bit surprised at part of the narrative. But I don't want to give too much. I want to see what Joe thinks about it, because I know he's a big fan of this character. So I'm very curious. I love the cover. Love that cover. I thought that was beautiful. So
I think there's better covers out there, but the standard one is okay.
Yeah, I know it's not exactly animation style, but I like it. It's a little bit more of a painted, has a painted mural kind of look about it. I really I dug that. And Blue Beetle Graduation Day lines out my best reads this week. It continues to grow the character of Jaime Reyes, and that's one of my favorite Blue Beetles now, and has been for a while, since one of the few comics of the New 52 that I liked a lot. And so it's good to see a follow-up that is worthy and is showing how he's developing into a hero that the other characters are putting faith in. He's not just a kid anymore. He's actually taking his place amongst the pantheon of heroes. And I like that. But today, right before the show, I got the best surprise of the week. Dun, dun, dun. Zombie Full Adventures. Yay. And there's some very recognizable characters in here. And there's some action, and there's some great sound effects. I think this would make a good book series. That's quoting one of the characters in the book too. So, but and mine's signed.
Ooh.
Now, Eric, I did give it a quick read. I'm going to give it a more thorough read after show, but I got to read it real fast right before the show. But
cool.
Really fun. Really liked it. And I love the tune in next time panel. That's one of my favorite fantasy worlds, and I cannot wait for the zombie fools to go there. But our topic, last time we talked about pivot points, and we did it as far as the industry of comics, the companies. What would you change of a decision or something that happened in the formation of the comics groups or the medium itself that would affect, in you believe, a positive way, what became the history of comics? And this week it's a pivot point, but it's a different focus. If you could make a storyline or a continuity change for any company and any character, what would it be? And for an example, I gave, you would not have Peter Parker make a deal with the devil and erase his marriage to MJ in One More Day.
No more One More Day.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one that I know a lot of people I know would make that one. Or
that killed my interest in most Marvel comics, to be frank with you.
Yeah.
But the title was so good. One More Day. It just sounded like it was going to be great.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. I also want to point out that the people who are poo-pooing it are married.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like to me it was kind of terrifying because they were also at that point DC had been talking about finding a way to annul Clark Kent's marriage to Lois,
so he could be with Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh baby, and
I hated that idea.
I did too.
I did too. Same here.
That was great for Astro City. That was a very nice date issue. It didn't need to be a part of regular continuity.
And I think John Byrne had said it best in Action number 600, Action Comic 600, where Superman and Wonder Woman got together, went on a date, and basically they decided they were better friends than anything more intimate. But it's just the idea at the time that a lot of comic creators are saying that you can't create tension with the characters being married, which means these people have never seen any of the Thin Man movies.
No.
Or any place where, or any sort of story where two characters who are committed to each other still can have fights. They can still have all kinds of difficulties, but you got to be a little more clever about it.
Right.
So yeah.
And another example I gave was like if, what if you decided that instead of Supergirl dying in Crisis on Infinite Earth, Superman died. Mm-hmm. And Supergirl had to step up and become the last daughter of Krypton, at least for a while. May not have been permanent, but just as a shock, kind of an element. So I came up with. I had to think really hard because there's several things I would change, but the one I think that would satisfy me the most. I don't know that it's a big change as far as overall ongoing continuity, but my number one pick, I had two. The first pick, though, is the unlanterning of Hal Jordan in Zero Hour and how that was done.
Yeah.
I'm not against Parallax.
Yes.
Okay.
I was not against the tragedy turning a hero into a villain or an anti-hero, depending on how deeply you bought into the whole I'll grab all the power, take reality's reins, and then make everything better approach that they wrote for Hal. Because his mindset was, what's it matter doing deplorable things to get the power that I can then immediately undo and rectify and make things better. But it's a real John Hammond in Jurassic Park kind of control issue that rang hollow to me even back then. But when Coast City was destroyed, I could believe that Hal could temporarily buy into the end justifying the means temporarily. But they should have, here's where it comes in. They should have stuck the landing, and they could have done it one of two ways. They turned him into God Hal, unrepentant for all the changes he brought about and yet defeated, or returned from the brink of insane grief without killing the core, without all the deranged slaughter that he did, and make extant the big bad instead. Taking down the villain with only residual side effects from their meddling remaining in to the cosmos that would have allowed Jordan to again become the Green Lantern. Now, either approach, DC could do what they really set out to do with this series, with this event, with Zero Hour, and that was to clean up some of the spotty or undecided continuity tatters left over from Crisis on Infinite Earths. Instead, the fans went ballistic and DC backpedaled from full-on villainy for Hal. Mm-hmm. They blamed the whole thing on Hal's possession by the entity Parallax, a soap operatic kind of a solution that served neither narrative version. The best parts of the aftermath, as DC amended it, ended up being tossed away, either soon after or sometimes years later. We had Kyle Rayner being allowed to take up the mantle of Green Lantern, and a lot of people liking the way he did that, how he grew into the role, and then being discarded. Replaced by Hal Jordan eventually anyway. A personal gripe for me is it wastes the redemption route of Hal Jordan when he becomes the Spectre. Mm-hmm. Yes. And willfully ring power residual, turning the spirit of vengeance into the spirit of redemption. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of fans dislike this take on Jordan in the aftermath of Zero Hour, but for me, it fit nicely into the new era of the Justice Society DC run, where they were looking at reiterations of the older characters or legacy versions of them. And I enjoyed the Spectre series featuring Jordan. Seeing him, when he becomes a Spectre, he begins using the powers like a GL ring at first, and then learning how to better manipulate the Spectre's vast abilities. And a lot of times with some beautiful subtlety that shows a growth in his redemptive journey as a hero. It also showed a sane and humble Jordan doing everything possible to rectify the terrible things he did as Parallax and taking responsibility for it. It did not go from the demon made me do it point of view. I like my experienced and senior kinds of superheroes to be responsible. And of course, all the Hal as Spectre thing that got thrown out too, because of the wishy-washiness of the whole thing. So my change is make Hal the hero or the villain of his 0 Hour story and stick to it. Don't water it down. Don't do the worthy aftermath storylines and characters dirty in the attempt. So that's my main one. I got a secondary one, but I'm curious to see what you guys think for it, and then also your own. What would you change?
I kind of disagree with Hal Jordan and Spectre.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'd be in a vast
only reason I disagree
majority.
with Hal Jordan and Spectre, even though they was trying to do that, that's not what the Spectre is. Spectre is pure wrath.
Right. He's the
His
spirit
partner
of vengeance.
is a conscious.
I know.
Pretty much serves as a conscious.
Yeah.
Jordan really wasn't in a conscious mode. He was looking for redemption. It felt so disjointed that we didn't really get the Spectre that we needed for that time.
I can understand that. What got me was that he took that willpower that was so prevalent as a Green Lantern, and he took the spirit of vengeance and changed it. And I like the stories that came from that. Now, Joe, you are a lot of fans absolutely 100% agree with that point of view, and I don't. That's valid because it is a big change of the character. It was one of the few DC runs at the time that was part of the mainstream that I really liked. So I'm biased about it, but
oh no,
I just didn't like the aspect of the Spectre having human emotion, because that would end up coming from it.
Right.
Spectre started to understand human emotion. And that kind of curtails how he looks at what he needed to do. I mean, he was literally an unstoppable force. He was the AKA wrath. He was the ultimate judgment. Not, oh, this is okay, I understand why you did it. So instead of feeling my full wrath, you get a slap on the hand, and that just doesn't work.
You don't make the good horror stories that some of the Spectre stories turn into with that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that was a lot of the problem I had with it. It's like, I'm kind of spoiled. Of course, I am too old. I'm too young, believe it or not, to remember the original Golden Age stuff. But I've seen the reprints. I grew up during the Gardner Fox, Murphy Anderson era, where he wasn't really vengeance; he was just this cosmic avenger. But then again, we had that delightful run at Adventure Comics by Michael Fleischer and Jim Aparo, where it went back to the 40s Jerry Siegel, Bernard Bailey concept of, don't piss this guy off. He will turn you into a candle and light you up. Or the John Ostrander run with Tom Mandrake. Those were sheer genius. I feel the Spectre's been ill-served at other times. And while I didn't dislike the Hal Jordan run specifically, I just felt it was kind of watering down both Green Lantern and the Spectre in a way, by just trying to mash the two up. That it wasn't quite the Spectre, it wasn't quite the Hal Jordan we knew. So I felt a little cheated by that run a little bit. I don't, I question whether it should have been done in the first place. The only time, but I did like I agree with you, Clyde, about the idea that the Spectre opening, about opening up and understanding humanity. I felt it was better done in the Final Crisis, one of the spin-off books with Crispus Allen, who had taken over for Hal Jordan, and the one scene where basically they're under siege, them and Renee Montoya's The Question and the Huntress, etc., and all of a sudden Crispus just opens up his heart and says, "Spectre, take a look inside." And the two came to terms. Up till then, it had been like, "Oh, I dare not turn to the Spectre. He's going to, run that guy through a meat grinder or something like that." And the Spectre's like, "Oh, come on, let me kill everyone I see because we've all done something wrong." But the two opened up to each other. And then that's when I wanted to see more Spectre.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Because I wanted to see a Spectre that finally remembered what humanity was like he did when he was Jim Corrigan.
Right.
And by the same token, here's Crispus Allen accepting, okay, between the two of us, we're the strong right hand of God. We're fulfilling God's destiny. Not as the Old Testament of destroyer, but the New Testament loving Father. Where's Brian Rodman when we need him? But anyway, that's why I like seeing it. But we never saw anything past that.
Right.
That was my issue with it from there. So.
But if they would have just done Hal Jordan in 0 Hour and made him the hero that comes back with having changed reality a little bit, but not going off the deep end, you wouldn't have had the Spectre. You wouldn't have had Kyle Rayner poorly served, because that made a lot of Green Lantern fans, they liked Kyle. I liked Kyle.
Kyle became a really good character, and I'm glad he still pops up, although he doesn't have quite the panache he did during his original run. But I also like the idea, during Kyle's run, just a little aside here, that they removed the yellow weakness. And the rings now became like a literal battery unto themselves that had a finite charge, and you got the percentages depending on what they were up to, which they've done ever since. And I like that a lot better than going down to Sherwin-Williams and painting your house and suddenly you're immune to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Well, Batman did.
It could be Alan Scott.
Yeah.
It could be Alan Scott and lose to a Louisville Slugger.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jelly reminds me of an issue of Justice League America around, I think it was 102, where it was the JSA and the JLA, of course, for their annual team up. And Green Lantern is saying, "No, I should be the one to deliver the suicide package." No, Alan Scott saying, "No, I should deliver the suicide package to save the day." And Green Arrow says, "I've got a arrow here that's painted yellow. I can take you both out with it." That's what I think of every time I see the yellow weakness. It's fine when you're 6 years old, but when you get like 7, suddenly you're a man of the world. You don't buy into this crap anymore.
So what kind of continuity?
I like the wood weakness, because again, that was the punishment from the Guardians for the Lanterns being too much of a jerk to the rest of the universe.
Oh, I agree.
They allow a group of people. It's like, here, take this wooden shillelagh and literally take out your frustrations on it, and that just been a weakness for that point forward. And Alan Scott,
it worked. It worked. Yeah, nice.
Was there ever a comic with Green Lantern versus the Beatles and their Yellow Submarine?
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, I'll give you wanted some more suggestions, and mine that I would change it actually applies to 2 different major events in DC history. One is the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the other one is the much beloved New 52. I know we all miss it. Thank you.
If we're missing it, it's because we're not leading it far enough.
Yeah, exactly. we're not counting for windage. But no, the thing is, I think one huge mistake both of them did, and I get why, which I'll talk about in a second. They were supposed to be a page 1 reboot of the DC universe. They failed both times, because I know basically it's political within DC itself. That I know Marv Wolfman has said in numerous interviews that when he was kind of like the showrunner for the original Crisis, he and Jeanette Kahn and Dick Giordano were all on the same page. We start everything over with issue number 1. and we tell the story of the DC universe from this point on. This way, there is a jumping on point for everyone, and the continuity is easier to understand because you don't have like what would have been like 50 years worth, almost 50 years worth of continuity by that point. And the New 52 did the same thing, but was supposed to be the same thing, and I think it succeeded better, to be honest. But you had some factions at DC, like, I've been working on this plot line for 2 years. Don't make me give it up. I know Jerry Conway was working on Firestorm at the time, and he did not want to abandon his storyline, so he raised a stink about it. And several other creators did too. It's like, oh no, we can't abandon our storylines that we've got from this point on. Instead, so they kept going. So they still carried all the continuity from the past. Whereas you had a handful of titles that, it took Superman a year to get rebooted, for instance. Batman did little dribs and drabs, like with changing Jason Todd from another circus performer like Dick Grayson to a hoodlum, which I've never cared for, to be honest. And the New 52, like I said, was a more successful attempt at it because the issues, even the legacy books like Action and Detective and Superman, started with a brand new number one. Wonder Woman did, Batman did. But you still had some like Green Lantern because Jeff Johns was very connected and very popular at the time. Green Lantern kept going. There was, aside from him now wearing like armor with a Nehru jacket collar, there was no sudden, like, okay, we've stopped the previous, storyline. It was, okay, we're still doing the same thing. We're just dressing Hal Jordan funny. And that's where I would change it. I would have started with in 86 and everything starts from book 1 again. You now have an easy jumping on point for new readers. You have the old readers who will maybe want to see what we're doing. And of course, this is pre-internet, so we won't have to hear them cry about it. Then, their childhood's being ruined. But I just think that DC, the powers that be that DC should have put their feet down and basically literally rebooted the universe and make it more accessible to everyone. No exceptions whatsoever.
Yep.
That's mine.
Yeah, I think that's. So, Eric, what do you think?
What's mine?
Mm-hmm.
Mine you can find on our Facebook group.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
So that's where you should go to find out who I think should have become Batman. And I'd like to bring up the fact that we've all said what needs to be changed with DC and not Marvel.
Oh, wait.
I got
the second one.
I actually have a couple Marvel issues.
Started yet? I just commented on somebody else.
Yeah, Joe. What's up with you, Joe? Oh gosh, look at. What would you change?
The first thing that I would have done if I could rewrite comic book history, and they had the right idea, and I know a certain person is not going to like it. I would have kept Superman dead. Because all the other Superman that popped up would have, I knew it. All the other Superman that popped up could have carried Clark's mantle. They could have. And a new generation could have been born at that moment that made sense. You didn't have to continue to rely on the skirt tails of Kal-El at that point. Again, we look at it now with Val Zod and all these other so-called Supermen, and you still have a fan base that can't get beyond why can't the mantle be passed?
Yep.
Kill him. If he would have stayed dead, that mantle would have been passed, and we would have had newer stories and more consistent story dealing with Kal-El's legend.
Yeah.
That would have changed the whole DC universe on its head, because now they will have to have a brand new figurehead for the Justice League and those that represent Earth as a whole.
Mhm.
Who is going to be the standard bearer?
And each one of
That
those
could have been a
carrying his
whole
mantle.
story arc within itself. But
They're
yet,
good characters. I mean, we've seen them used varying degrees afterward, but they're good, solid characters. Even I know the Eradicator is probably the least popular, but I love the Eradicator. I thought that was
That was a
brilliant.
good concept. I like
Yeah.
I like the concept of the Eradicator, and I even like the cyborg Superman, who was then later revealed to be a villain. But what was done with Steel was
Jeremy Irons.
fantastic.
Mhm.
I loved the Steel title. I loved it when it went solo.
Mhm.
All those great stories by Louise Simonson, then later by the former Jim Housley. So, yeah, those were fantastic stories.
So yeah, I could definitely see them carrying the mantle on. And now for merchandising and stuff, on the business side of it, I know that it's hard to get away from iconic characters, but
Oh yeah,
but still,
I mean,
Couldn't
even
go
by
longer?
that time, you had what, close to 40-something years of Kal-El stories. You don't need more. You did everything that you could.
Mhm. Yep.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. It's like that would have been my altering of the DC timeline, which would have brought back a lot of characters to the forefront. You would have had a brand new figurehead that would have been the standard bearer for DC.
Mhm.
And you had a lot of good ones that's still out there. I mean, and then you had, like you said, Steel took the spotlight. To be quite honest, he was the most popular one.
yeah, or
Out of all the
Superboy. They had that,
Supermans.
the Con-El Superboy,
Mhm.
by Carl Kessel. So,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought were great too.
Okay,
But
so
again, Con-El was, to me, was almost like an afterthought after everything got reset back.
Yeah, I saw him more as a Superboy reboot,
mhm.
since they really hadn't had a Superboy since John Byrne took over. So,
And Superboy with different powers to make him a bit more
Right.
interesting.
To me, Con-El was this is Luthor's answer.
yeah,
This
the
was
tactile
Luthor's answer.
telekinesis.
It's like, what is a world without a Superman? This is what the world without Superman will be like.
Yeah,
Con-El.
Con-El would have been cool.
But the
I
thing about it,
like the
he could control
tactile
Con-El.
telekinesis. He had to touch something to affect it, and he could fake the superpowers using that.
Right.
I thought that was genius.
Okay, so I'm going to break the Marvel egg here. Oh, sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, I was about to do that.
Oh,
And
okay.
people,
Go ahead.
People going to hate me for this too.
I'm ready.
For Marvel, what I would have done is that I would not have brought the X-Men to the rest of the Marvel universe for the sake of the movies.
Oh, now that's you're talking about the MCU. Is it right?
No, how they were in comics now.
Okay.
Remember, the Marvel universe back in the day, whatever happened in the X books did not have a direct effect on all the other books.
Gotcha.
It wasn't until like the early, I would say early to mid 2000s that the X-Men started to come into the fold to the whole entire Marvel universe.
Okay. Gotcha.
And it gave us the idea of that Xavier's dream was achieved and everything. Which fast forward to now, all of a sudden how the X-Men books are now being written as the X-Men being separatists, that they want to separate again. That that they can't get along with everybody else. We have to govern our own selves and everything to that magnitude, which goes against what the original 1963 books started out with. And that comes back to Marvel looking at it as like, you know what? We don't like this idea. We're just going to make it whatever we want to make it. And my thing about it is like, you know what? If you're going to do that, why did you bring did you bring them back into the fold in the early 2000s? If you knew that this was going to eventually happen, you could have kept them separate. It would have been a lot more palatable. It would have made a lot more sense story-wise because they was never truly a part of the overall core of the Marvel universe in that aspect.
Yeah.
See that.
Yeah. Eric, what do you think? You're the Marvel guy. You're the
Marvel's great.
If only they were more like DC, I might like them more.
Yeah, I just shoot. What has bothered me with Marvel? Well, I mean, recently, just everything. Shoot, I really don't know.
You never had one of those moments where you were reading it, you grooving along with in a Marvel vibe, and then went, "I can't believe they just did that."
No.
Okay. Even the One More Day.
Yeah. I didn't like
Clone
it.
Saga, One More Day.
Clone
Civil
Saga.
War II.
Clone Saga.
Saga.
I had stopped reading Spider-Man by that point, so I had quit. So I didn't worry about that.
Yeah, I'd have never done the
So
Clone
I
Saga.
knew what happened in One More Day, so I wasn't
The
reading
Crossing.
it at that time.
The cross. I'm just naming events that didn't go over well. The Crossing.
No.
The whole thing about old Tony Stark and young Tony Stark become evil.
Young Tony, yes. Oh God,
I didn't.
Thanks for
It was
nothing, Joe.
Civil War II.
Yeah, I mentioned Civil War II. That's up there.
Was that when Rhodey got killed by Thanos?
I believe so.
I think so.
I didn't care for that. I always liked Rhodey.
And She-Hulk too, right?
And She-Hulk too.
Yep,
Yeah, but everybody comes back, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe that, but I haven't read a lot of Marvel in a long time, and most of the stuff I did read, I can't even really remember anymore.
That's a bad sign there.
That's because he has a short memory. Because as long as they don't mess up his Moon Knight, he's good.
Well, I haven't read that in months now.
Yeah.
It just wasn't going anywhere. Okay, so Moon Knight now.
Yeah. Okay, now he's mad at Moon Knight.
Clyde lasted longer than I did.
Yeah.
I just quit reading it because it just kept going and going with the same storyline. It just didn't seem like it was progressing for me. And
that's why I quit the X-Men 20 years ago. It was the same story getting rehashed every 2 to 3 years.
I never had a problem with the X-Men until 2010, probably around 2010. I just got tired of it. Yeah, everybody loves. Well, not everybody.
Wait, 2010 was that before or after Morrison?
It was right in the middle.
I can see that.
Middle Morrison.
Everybody loved Grant Morrison. I did not like Grant Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like Grant Morrison when the stuff originally came out. Now I have appreciation for it because I understood where he was trying to go with it. But again, he put the Morrison curse on the X-Men. There's nobody else that could follow up with that concept.
Yeah.
There's nobody that could follow it up and keep it up.
Yeah, 80s, 90s. I love the X-Men. Then when I still liked it for a while after Claremont left, but
yeah,
I lost interest in it, and finally I just stopped. I stopped picking up comics in 2010, mostly because I lost my job. But I was still picking up comics every week that I wasn't buying because they were on my list or I wasn't reading. I get them and I just stick them away. Away, and that's X-Men became one of those books I would just stick away when I got it.
Wow.
Because at the point I was like, well, I've been in it for a while now. I don't want to miss an issue. But
yeah, it might get good again.
Yeah, it might get good again. Now they're living on a mutant planet or a mutant island, and I just don't care.
The whole concept is like, we got to govern ourselves. It's like Xavier's dream is just nullified. It's like that's not even a part of their history anymore.
Yeah.
So there's my answer. I would take the X-Men back to the 80s. In Australia, in the outback, with Gateway.
Exactly.
There you go.
So it's like they're on a planet, they can't die. That's like once they introduced that concept, I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's like the planet brings them back. No. No.
Okay, so I'm going to break everybody's head with my Marvel centric change that I would make, my number 2 change.
Okay.
It's a blend. This is actually a blend of corporate and continuity pivot pointing, but it could have led to some great stories or events, or both, I think, over the course of years. Excuse me. I love the Amalgam Universe. That's what DC and Marvel created together. They gave very creative writers and artists the chance to play like kids by combining histories and the identities of characters from both companies. The results were not always great, but they were at times brilliant. And we got heroes like Super Soldier and Dark Claw and Spider Boy and Doctor Strange Fate, and Lobo the Duck. And villains like Dr. Doomsday and Hyena and Galactiac and Thanoside. And the amalgamated continuity presented in combining those characters was a writing class on runaway creative concept and, in a lot of cases, execution. So then the villain Ego, and I'm not talking about the living planet guy that was Quill's dad, the MCU, got involved. The DC and Marvel's people in charge, their whole cooperative comic book making was overturned. But if greed had trumped ego on the part of company admins, it would have been nice seeing the storylines and continuity presented in the crossover events continue and grow, seeing the amalgam imprint become a lasting entity. And maybe it could have been handled like a yearly crossover event between the big two, replacing some of the lackluster ones that they did instead. Imagine it like an annual Crisis Wars Across Infinite Earths combo, and how new offshoot amalgam entities could have been presented each year as the present companies premiered new ideas and heroes and villains in their regular continuities. So my change would be make Amalgam its own conjoined imprint around 1998 or 1998, and continue the Amalgam universe continuity with Marvel and DC, that they continue it on with what they so richly introduced. Make it a replacement for the old JLA JSA crossovers and the pastiches like Squadron Supreme and the Heroes of Angor that allowed the big two access, but not quite access, to their competitors' characters. Give the reader something fun to look forward to every summer event-wise, with issues chronicling the team-up with additional character issues that didn't impact any other continuity between the two. And it would have kind of maybe replaced the need for some of those things, especially if it made good profits. It would have maybe circumvented the need for things like Final Identity Crisis countdowns and Super Special Secret Civil Wars 3 offshoots.
Yeah.
And that in itself would have, made me happier with comic book continuity, just to keep it separate and something different.
Mm-hmm.
Can I offer a tweak to that?
Sure.
Because that was right about the time that Malibu folded. And guess what Malibu had at that time? A little known book called The Exiles.
Yes.
It could have became the new Exiles universe.
Oh, there you go.
Well,
Yes.
if they'd done anything with the Malibu verse, they had some great concepts like Prime. Was it the one about it was a TV series for 2 years. The guy that got his powers at midnight,
Nightman.
Nightman, thank you. That was a great title too. They had some really good stuff. They had some top people working on it, but they got kind of messed up when nobody was
Marvel
getting
took it
paid
over.
properly, and then Marvel buys it up supposedly for the coloring system. But because they bought it, and then the lawsuits started going around, they can't use it because I don't think those have even gotten to court in all this time. At least I'm unaware of any sort of settlement. So they've got this property that they can't use, but they did use the coloring system, and that's why all of their their non-sports cards, all their covers looked like puke for the next 2 years. Because you had people who had this wonderful system, but it's like, it's like you're intending to write the works of Shakespeare, but you leave it to an infinite number of monkeys with typewriters. It's just not the right tool for the job, so to speak. But yeah, that's
but the thing about it, Marvel did get the final rights to use the Exiles.
That's true. They did.
And by the time they really had the rights to do it, would have been right about the time Amalgam came out. And it could have been the Exiles universe.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing any of them come to the fore. And they were doing some cool stuff. I remember a Barry Windsor Smith written and drawn crossover with Conan the Barbarian, of course, if you got to have Smith on a feature, and the Man of Iron. You know, it was kind of an Iron Man in the Sumerian age, and that was kind of fresh. I kind of enjoyed that. That was fun. Now, I'll tell you the Marvel, I did think of a Marvel thing that I think would have blown people's minds, but the first thing that has to happen, Stan Lee has to quit Marvel Comics in 1961 because he was looking at leaving comics for acting or stage writing or novels. So I would have made the Fantastic Four would have been different. It would consist of Captain America, Namor, the Human Torch, and Venus. Because those were the 50s characters, which would have been like at that time about 6 or 7 years before. So they would be new to a lot of readers at the time, because at the time the publishers kind of thought that comics had like a 3-year cycle for most readers. But and this would have been a way to bring back their chief 40s characters at the time. Now,
would you have tweaked them the way that DC did when they brought back their 40s characters in that same time period?
No, I thought about that. And I'm thinking that Marvel might have, Martin Goodman might have wanted to do that, but I think they would have brought back the original characters as they were. So it would have been Steve Rogers and Jim Hammond, and, et cetera, et cetera. And Venus would have been there for the girls, so to speak. And it wouldn't have the same family feel, but it also would launch right away being a costumed title, as opposed to the first 2 issues where they're either in jumpsuits or street clothes. And it wouldn't have been written by Stan Lee. Chances are it would have been, in my opinion, it would have been written by Robert Bernstein, who at the time was writing most of the Archie hero comics, and he was also writing Batman and Superman for DC. And he's also the one who took over for Stan on Iron Man. And he also wrote a couple of Thors, I believe, under the name of R. Burns. So that would have been my guess. He probably would have turned into their superstar scripter. I can see them leveling some sort. I can see Martin Goodman getting a little annoyed with Larry Lieber because of what his brother did, left him high and dry. But this also means, I think,
idea is to destroy the Marvel Comics history for the past 60 years, so DC could
not necessarily. My first question to him is like, why don't you just keep the Invaders around? Because
they weren't around then. You did have the All Winners Squad,
right? I mean, that would be the easier thing to do than to make them the Fantastic Four.
I could see that, but I could
also just move them to a newer decade.
With a new name,
to a newer decade. Newer Crusades.
Yeah, but the thing is also, like, they didn't catch on the first time around.
Again, there's still opportunity there when you, again, progression. That's one of the key things about comics. You have to progress in some form or some fashion. If one idea doesn't work, guess what? You might be one story arc away from a major hit if you could just move on to that next story arc.
Well, that's possible, but then again, we're also talking about a comic that from this point on would have been 15 years before, because I think they were in 46, something like that. But I can see your point, Joe. But I could also see, if that was the case, why didn't they? Well, of course, the JSA had gone under by the time that that television was proposing a Submariner TV series. And that's when they brought back Cap and Torch and Submariner in the 50s. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have done it at all. Because that's just how good, Goodman just left concepts in his wake and, didn't bother reviving them.
What are the other companies doing that are making money? Do that.
Yeah, and then put out 8 of them. Yeah, and if it sells, put out 8 of them. Yeah. Which, by the way, I do have a DC idea before we close. I think is pretty cool.
Actually, the problem with that idea for me, Brian, is that you would have had. Okay, so we got young kids grooving to in the early 60s this whole reintroduction of superheroes
Right.
that DC's doing by changing and tweaking the Green Lantern from Hal Jordan or from Alan Scott to Hal Jordan, and the Flash
Right.
into Barry Allen from Jay Garrick. Okay. And this would have served the same audience, competed for young readers, but what Stan Lee did opened it up to a different level of reader and older readers.
It was the type of story he wrote.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't see it would have postponed that older readership and all of the things that came after that, and the I think progression of the comic book medium into something that wasn't just kid stuff.
I don't think it would have happened.
He just wants to destroy the Marvel universe.
That's right. Yeah. No.
You and Fred Hembeck, I tell you what.
No, I honestly, I thought of that. I don't think it would have happened, or I don't think that the progression of comics would have happened beyond, because Stan wrote for a more mature audience.
Yeah.
Lieber might have been tempted to, but Bernstein was strictly in that more Weisinger Archie comics mode. And I could see him continuing with that. So I don't think we would have had the renaissance of comic goodness that we did in the early 60s. Yeah. I think this would have pushed back the progress of comics to the point where I don't know that Marvel would have survived to this day. Because also remember, they were... Yeah, see? I'm open about it, though. I'm not using subterfuge, but no. Because remember, at the time, they were also being distributed by a company that was owned by DC's publisher. And they were limited to the number of comics they could put out until 68 when they changed distributors.
Yeah, that would have snuffed them. Yeah, good job there, Brian.
Yeah. Well, I also have another extinction event. What if Marvel didn't publish Star Wars? That, you know what that would have meant? DC would have probably licensed the characters because there was talk of it at the time. Marvel Comics was on the verge of bankruptcy at the time. Again. This was long before the first time. And the thing was, Marvel sales were in the dumps. And Roy Thomas got wind of because he was living in LA at the time. He had just moved to LA. I've read interviews with him about this, and Roy said that he was approached by the Lucasfilm people saying, "Hey, you want to license this character? We'll give it to you cheap," because they didn't realize it would become the phenomenon it would. And so Marvel published this, this story. They had like 2 issues out, I think, before the movie hit, and everybody realized how wonderful it was, and sales shot through the roof. And it's one of the first multi-reprinted comics. Because they did like at least a couple, 2 or 3 editions of the regular 6-issue run. 5, thank you, Joe, thank you. And then they did like a couple of treasury editions. They reprint in paperbacks in all kinds of ways. And they say that literally saved Marvel Comics.
So your second change is to take that and give it to DC, so that again Marvel dies. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Charlton becomes the superpower. Charlton becomes the superpower because they get John Byrne first, and they already have Steve Ditko working for him. So
then all we would have right now is crappy DC movies that we'll go see at the theater.
Yeah.
All part of my master plan, people.
This brings up something interesting, though. How many times Marvel has made bad business choices and yet made the right choice at just the right moment to save them and continue on, the big 2, which I think in the scheme of things, fandom is served and the medium is served better by having the competition between the 2.
I grantly agree. Nick Tucker, and here we go. No, this comment here from Parallax Spectre. BKM is the new Thanos. He was.
I wanted to destroy half the characters, and I know it's half.
There we go. Now we're talking. Yeah. There we go.
I do have more of
that. I feel tripping off of this because I believe Eric is right. Deep down, Brian is upset about Squadron Supreme.
Yes, I still own the edition that's got Mark Grunwald's ashes in the ink. So that's called commitment, people.
I do have a Marvel one now.
Oh, okay.
It's real quick. It's
Okay.
playing off what Joe said earlier about Superman.
Huh?
If a character dies, keep him dead.
Yay.
All
Yeah.
of them. All of them. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally
Well,
agree.
one of the problems that each of just about all of our changes have centered on is the insistence that comic books have to be soap operas. I do like, I don't know a lot about the anime styles of doing things, but whether it's BBC TV shows or anime style of books that have a set number of issues and an arc, and then they can still take the character and reimagine them or continue on their adventures if they're popular, but you're not committed to the soap opera. A lot of the problems that we have and the changes we want to make are because of the soap operas.
Yes.
Capes.
Soaps over capes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
But that is a big downfall of all the things. A lot of the things that we don't like about comics now, and what like Joe's thing of Marvel did this with all the mutant characters and all this because we got to keep it going. Why do you have to keep it going if you're out of gas? Give somebody a chance to come up new with fresh ideas or to recharge their batteries. Oh, that would be. I'd go see that. Yeah.
Oh, I'd go see it twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
No, and real fast, I have a plan that we could have saved.
Well, you got two of them already. I think you've wiped out the Marvel universe.
Oh,
what
No, this
now?
is
I do have one for the chat.
Okay.
No, here we go. Let me go first, please, because this is good. I think Clyde will like this one. How we could have saved the Golden Age characters.
Okay.
You remember Aquaman and Green Arrow were published during the Golden Age characters and during the Golden Age of comics, and they survived by becoming backup strips in Superman or rather in Action Comics, Detective, and Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
What if we extended that to the Justice Society of America?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would have been to keep them in the mix a bit. But now would that have curtailed innovation like Martian Manhunter and the things that they kind of Dial H for Hero?
It possibly would. Now, Dial H was later, much later, and a lead feature. But it might have curtailed Martian Manhunter, which basically at the time was Superman Light.
Right.
Superman
with a sci-fi twist.
Yeah, and he's vulnerable to fire because the color yellow wasn't lame enough. But but no, I could see and you could even have you wouldn't have like Tommy Tomorrow. You might not have Supergirl. I suspect you would have just for marketing reasons, but you might not have the Tales of the Bizarro World. But take out those backup features, Congo Bill, for instance, and replace them maybe with a because the JSA was about 5 members at the time. They were canceled, or maybe have a Flash strip, the original Flash or the original Green Lantern, and I think you would have had you could have carried over the old superheroes. Now you still might have gone like Hal Jordan, Barry Allen, etc., because they were fundamentally atomic age versions of the originals, and you just maybe give them different names.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that way they would crush Marvel in sales.
I knew there had to be a part of that in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, what's your
feed
part?
Thank you, Joe.
My feedback is feeble compared to what he just mentioned, but I was about to get ready to say this recent incarnation of Heroes Reborn is greater than the original.
I wouldn't take
by
much.
far.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
because what they did would combine. The only thing that I didn't like about it was the fact that Blade was unaffected during that time, and he knew that not having any Avengers, the history forgetting about the Avengers and Avengers being dissolved and everything, and allowing Squadron Supreme to fill in that role was weird within itself, but it made for an interesting dynamic, especially between Hyperion and Peter Parker. I never saw that coming, and especially how it ended. with Hyperion coming back to the Daily Bugle, and Peter Parker was like looking, after taking off the Spider-Man suit and looking, looking out the window, and he was saying, it's like, oh, I was hoping to find an old friend. And it's like, well, what friend are you looking for? And I was like, wow, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Two different universes separated by just one period in time. The people who were the best of friends don't even recognize one another.
Yeah.
That's okay, because I don't recognize half the characters in Marvel anymore. So
that's why you want to destroy it.
Start all over. It's like Tobacco Road, man. Just level it and start all over again.
So mad about Hyperion. But at least you get the glory of having the actual DC Flash come and ruin a race across the whole universe by being the winner, talking about what take you guys so long. You remember that story in Marvel Universe?
I think so.
You're not winning me over, people.
Your DC character won. Again, multiverse. Lactus. I don't think we could get away with calling him Galen.
No, I don't think so. And the reason it is super hot on Mars and fire burns it because it's a flame mostly. Plus, it's a dry heat on Mars. So there we go. We're here to provide those answers. And there we go. Nick Tockert has it. So just shop Indie Comics. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. No, but actually, I say these things because my fondness is for the early Marvel age. And while I recognize that we cannot stay stagnant until decent stories, I wouldn't mind if Marvel had something similar to what DC was going to do with what they were calling 5G. And have different eras of heroes for different generations. I have no problem with a new version of Hulk. I have no problem with a new version of any character. But I'm also in this camp that, we can still come up with new ideas for legacy characters if we just put our heads down and start thinking about it. So, and fire isn't wet. You know that, and I know that. We're talking comic book physics here. So that's the thing. Martian Manhunter would drown in fire. We can't have that. Anyway, so
I do have another question for you, since you have a fondness for the Golden Age Marvel.
No, I don't think so.
One of the other companies was doing their coloring early on. Joe, do you remember?
What?
Who was doing the coloring for the early Image books? Was it Malibu?
I don't know.
That seems. I'll have to look that up.
Oh, no, Eric, I take that back. You might be right. Because
especially when you mentioned their coloring process and stuff, I was thinking, I think they're the ones that were doing the early Image books.
I think they did some of them, Eric. I think you're right. That year that a lot of them, like Savage Dragon and such, were mini series, and then they launched the regular editions,
like the original Gen 13. I know,
right? Or Savage Dragon. Was the one I was thinking of too. That was a mini series, and then when the sales warranted, it became a full-fledged series. I think you might be right. But
I can remember some stuff, but not much.
Yeah, well, I think Steve Oliff did the early, who had been working for Marvel. I think Steve Oliff did like Spawn. I think.
He's mentioned. I did a quick look up, and he's the first name that came up.
Yeah, but Oliff had been doing work for Marvel, I think. Not necessarily Malibu, but Marvel. So
I have to look it up, but that rings a bell.
Right. It sounds right.
Maybe a false bell, but it does ring a bell. So
yeah. But then again, we killed off Malibu. So and who did it but Marvel? I'm before you, Malibu. I'm avenging you. I'm avenging you, Malibu. That's what this is about.
But here's the thing, and this may give you more ammunition here, but I need your opinion on this. Since you have a fondness for the Golden Age characters, especially for Marvel.
Yeah.
What if we changed everything back where Isaiah Bradley never released the mantle of Captain America?
The only problem, the thing is that's in continuity, and I loved the Isaiah thing. I really love that. That was a brilliant mini series. But at the time, that was kind of like a retcon. I would like to see more adventures of him. I think there's a lot of room for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to believe since Steve Rogers was the original Captain America, so we can't really say that they would have come up with the idea of an African American Captain America.
He was only the original because of media.
Exactly.
Media.
Yeah.
Because again, Truth pretty much spelled it out. But the thing about it, what if he never relinquished it?
Oh, now that would have been great.
And the world got to the point where they were sold on what Captain America could have been.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Couldn't happen, Joe, because Brian killed the whole universe.
Squad being all Winter Squad with Isaiah Bradley instead.
Right.
And none of their adventures would be ever brought to the media except for some embellishment about who actually made up that team.
Which is very similar to a book I'm writing. So anyway, but no, I could see that. In modern continuity, I would think that would be interesting. I think that Isaiah Washington does have some stories left to tell.
Bradley,
rather, him too. They could get a team up of Caps. But anyway, and Grant Laker, good night, buddy. I'm glad you were here, man. Mm-hmm. And sorry we didn't get to everyone's comments tonight. But
there's a good comment right there.
Which the last one?
The very last one.
Yeah, I thought you'd find that one.
He killed 1960.
I know, it's my fault.
Would never be read by. That's true.
It's my fault. But if they'd started with that, I might let them live. It might be a life support.
Brian forgets that competition is good for storytelling and it excels you.
There you go.
To create better. So he just wanted DC writing lame stories for the past 60 years.
It would have been saved in 1968 when they purged all the old editors. See, but no, I think it would have come up, but I think it might have come up with different companies. Is the thing. Like when Dick Giordano was at Charlton, he told some much better stories than his predecessor, or until George Wildman in the 70s.
Atlas Comics might have had a shot back in the 70s.
Yeah. I also was thinking of Atlas. I was also thinking maybe Tower if they'd gotten good distribution. In fact, it was Charlton's problem too, was terrible distribution. Like for instance, Bob Layton and Roger Stern were living in Indianapolis, and they were doing a fanzine about the Charlton characters. They had to go out of town to buy Charltons because they couldn't get them in Indianapolis. Because of the distribution problems. And that's what did in companies like Atlas and Tower and all those.
Blame DC.
Exactly. And if Marvel hadn't pushed them into it, I'm telling you, it's their fault. Okay? They were driven to it.
How did Marvel start with DC led the way for direct markets?
That was going to be one of my things because I also had, kind of continuing with last year, I had some ideas, but it was based on business.
You got another comment to put up.
Oh dear God! And comics would have died in the. Okay, here we go. Comics would have died in the 60s. It was just DC with no Marvel. DC had the corniest, worst comic books in the 60s. Leia, I love you, but you're wrong. Anyway, no, seriously, she's right. They were some of the stupidest.
There were
damn
some bad
comics
books.
out there.
Yeah,
there were some terrible comics, but that was part of their fun. They were almost like an Ed Wood movie. That they were so bad that you can't stop watching them. So, and Molly Daniels goes to Marvel DC, the retirement years at Marvel DC. There we go. I like that. And here we go. And Parallax Spectre says, I need to get to Earth 1996 so Dark Claw and Super Soldier can save me from Fez Lactus. Fez Lactus sounds like something you see at 2:00 in the morning between old sitcom reruns. If you are feeling like Fez Lactus for 4 hours, please consult a physician. Fez Lactus is not for
leakage.
Fez Lactus is not for everyone.
It does sound like it needs about 8 pages of disclaimers that go with it.
It does. All the crap it causes, that it causes is worse than not taking the disease. Now we're talking. Thank you, Leia. Now we're talking apes. If everything were apes, I'd be all over it. And the color purple.
Boy, that's a special page of BKM content. I tell you.
Yeah. Maybe we should do one on the comics. What would Marvel have been like if they latched onto like apes like DC did? I think.
Right. What's the King Superman? What the King Superman story arcs? 50s, 1950s.
A lot of them, yeah, a lot of the really stupid stuff. Like the
but
latter years of the
King Superman was not stupid. That could have happened.
It could have happened. It could have. And here we go. Nick Tockard says, Fezlacticus make happen. And Molly Dales is using Fezlactus in her new story. Molly, don't use Fezlactus unless you have a doctor's slip for it, okay? I hear that crap is dangerous, okay?
We created and birthed a new character.
We created a monster.
Thank you, Leia.
Thanks for nothing, Leia. And I thought it was Fizlactus. I thought that hell was an eye. Okay. Oh God, we now have a mascot for the show. No, but seriously, I think if Stan Lee had, in all seriousness, if Stan Lee had left Marvel in the early '60s, I don't think we'd be talking about comics today.
Yeah, probably not.
He was not just Marvel's best salesman. He was comic books' best salesman. And if it weren't for him really pushing the age limit up, I don't know that we would have like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We wouldn't have had the great TV shows like the Hulk and all. Then again, we wouldn't have had like the Captain America ones, but that's another issue. I think we would not be talking about comics very fondly right now.
It comes back to competition because again, without a Stan Lee, there would have never been competition with DC. DC got the television first. DC maintained the better television side. They couldn't do very well in the movies. Marvel knocked it out the box with the MCU. There was always competition. There was always one-upmanship in some form or some fashion. So competition breeds innovation.
Oh, I fully agree. Marvel has done a lot for the history of comics just because I don't find Marvel's relatable anymore. They have moved on, and believe it or not, I'm good with that. There is nothing wrong with, just staying in my lane, reading the old stuff. And, it's like they have that one comic that I reviewed, was it last week or so, by Paul Levitz, who's from DC, and Alan Davis. And it takes place like within the first couple of years of the original run of the Avengers. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. I really did. So, and Molly Daniels says, here we go. Shazam is still my Captain Marvel. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for that.
One I almost did was, what if DC had went ahead and used Captain Marvel from the time that Fawcett gave him up, if they had put him in as one of their big stars and let Billy Batson age.
Like Gasoline Alley.
So that, he could become maybe not age like a regular person, but to be an adult.
Right.
And to see how the hero would have changed. That would have been, a very interesting concept.
That'd been good. And the K in BKMs is short for Kang the Conqueror.
There you go.
And here we go. Parallax Spectre. Leia says, come on. There we go. BKM stands for Beyonder Kang MODOK.
Oh.
But as much as you harp about Marvel, we would have never had, if it wasn't for DC, we would have never had Squadron Supreme, which I love. We would have never had the Hyperion that was in this last incarnation of Heroes Reborn, because he was noble. He was truly a noble, what I would consider Kal-El in the Marvel universe. He really was.
Yeah. Well, and also DC has, and Marvel each have brought in new people to the field of comics, at one point or another. Although DC and Marvel long ago, they became a closed shop, as they call it. you almost have to succeed in another medium now in order to be considered for DC and Marvel, or do an independent comic that does well.
Or work really cheap.
Say what?
Or what?
Work really cheap.
Or work really cheap, anymore. Or you could work for the certain lesser companies and not expect to get paid at all. But this is another subject. But no, it's like, they're starting in the 60s, like DC brought in people like Roy Thomas, Cary Bates, Elliot Magan, Mike Kaluta, Bernie Wrightson. A whole bunch of really great people. Like, by the same token, Marvel gave us like Barry Windsor Smith, Herb Trimpe, John Romita Jr. So there is a lot. There are a lot of reasons to have.
Why
Marvel
are people holding up Junior more than Senior? That's a question. That's a question.
Was this?
Why are they holding up Junior more than Senior? Why are people falling over Junior over JR?
John Romita Sr., I mean, he was the first Spider-Man artist I ever knew, and I loved his work.
For a lot of people, he was, and for he was not the OG on that Spider-Man strip. That's Ditko's Forever. But I think he also made it more mainstream. Because his was a more standard illustration style for comics, as opposed to the very stylized Steve Ditko, who was a great designer. But, and given how, one of the things I wrote down was, what if Ditko stayed on Spider-Man? It probably would be, one, Norman Osborn wouldn't have been the Green Goblin, for one thing, because that was one of the big things that he and Stan clashed on. But Romita had a more mainstream style, plus a more mainstream style storytelling. So we've been seeing a lot of stuff, for John Romita Sr.'s birthday, but he was very influential at DC, or not
Marvel.
DC, but Marvel rather. But he had been at DC though. He had been at DC before that.
He's already erased Marvel.
I've retconned Marvel in my head. So, but no.
I'll tell you, his style, his clean lines.
Yes.
And as a kid, that really appealed to me. And I love Ditko when I got to read those issues too. But I think it's sort of like, who's your first Doctor? Who's your first Spider-Man illustrator?
Yeah.
It's probably always going to be Romita Sr. So, and yeah, we don't talk about him as much because Junior has his own following and has done well. But I never take anything away from it. Doesn't take anything away from my appreciation of Johnny Romita Sr.
Yeah, and Senior also was like inking other other pencilers on Spider-Man, like Gil Kane particularly. Oh my God, I loved the Gil Kane John Romita Sr. combo, because you had, it looks like the Romita, Spider-Man, but it's got the frantic energy of Gil Kane. Plus, he also worked with John Buscema for a while on the strip. And Jim Mooney. Those were beautiful. Those were absolutely, the Romita Mooney team was putting out some really great comics. So, and plus, the design work that Romita did on other characters like the Punisher and Wolverine, etc., etc. His fingerprints are all over Marvel in the 60s and 70s, and he's earned the kudos, I think. So. So you put him in charge in 1961. Maybe I wouldn't feel so bad. Okay.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
Serious question. Okay.
Serious question. First time tonight. Okay, what we got? Is it at the end? Okay, serious question from Nick Tockert. Yes. Yeah, that was an hour ago, Parallax Spectre. Now it's gone down. But anyway, Nick Tockert says, serious question of late. Have you noticed the downward slide in overall interior art for DC Marvel? I'm genuinely shocked by some of the things I'm seeing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's,
I have to say, though, it's better than it was 20 years or 30 years ago. Because I've been going through my...
Oh, man,
I've been going through my 90s Marvels.
I mean, there's hit and misses, but overall, I don't think it's as good as it used to be.
No, you aren't either. We're over 2 hours.
Yep.
Eric, what did you start to say?
Yeah. Overall, I'd say it's not as good as it used to be.
No.
I think they're paying people a lot less and not getting better artist teams. to do the work. But you do have, an artist here or there, Sean Gordon Murphy. I mean, he's a great artist.
Yes.
I mean, you do have the outliers, but I mean, you had I think that, the 80s and 90s, you had a lot of great teams working on comics and put out a lot of good, pretty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Say that keyword again.
Which one? Great teams?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm trying not to rant.
There was great teams putting out great stuff, and now it's just a lot of it's very generic and all looks the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same because it's rotating.
Yeah.
They don't have dedicated teams anymore.
No. You're not going to
you're considered part of an assembly line, and you're part of the dynamic, and all the designs have to be simplified that anybody and your grandmother can draw it.
Yeah.
Well, and also I think harkening back to that, they don't have a lot of current artists don't have the discipline of the older artists. Look at Jack Kirby, drew 102 printed issues of Fantastic Four with one extra, plus annuals and such. You won't get that kind of dedication. About 10 years ago, DC tried to do that where you had the same team on a book. And that's when you had like 6 months between one issue and the next.
Ooh.
Because they couldn't make their deadlines.
Or you have a bunch of fill-in artists.
You have
issue, fill-in, issue, fill-in,
yeah.
issue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then some of those artists want to go around and say they were the regular artist on certain books for years.
Yeah.
About years worth over 40 years. Okay.
Well, that's true. And Nick, you're not helping. Anyway.
No, these guys know how long I will go if you really start.
Oh no, I'm going home if that's the case. No,
don't wind up as
Paul
King.
Ryan. No, I agree. Paul Ryan was great. Paul Ryan stayed on the Avengers and the FF for years. Mm-hmm. He did the entire that one New Universe book that he and Mark Gruenwald were doing. DP7 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he stayed on that for the entire 3-year run. Yeah, Paul Ryan, I agree.
DP7? Totally. Good grief. What kind of sport are you watching?
Like the last good series Marvel ever did. But anyway,
I love New Universe. So
I do too. I like the original New Universe.
See, I thought
some of the issues.
I thought one of you might say to the New Universe to have continued on. Its continuity to have continued.
Okay, yeah,
I wish it had too.
And U.S. Trucker too.
yes, U.S. one.
The problem with that is, what would you do with Strike Force Moriarty?
Which I thought was
if that was the case, because if characters cannot, if you want characters to die off, Strike Force Moriarty has to happen. It has to happen and have to have death.
And that was built into the concept. I thought it would.
It was built in, but it's like you would be introducing newer characters as you keep going along here. And,
Nothing wrong with that.
You don't want anybody that becomes like a mainstay character that becomes a fan favorite because they won't allow them to die.
Right.
And then you find a way to keep them alive.
The sales of this book,
right there.
Every time we have this character in that book, the sales just go through the roof. We've got to do something about this. We can't.
Yeah.
We got to kill him off, man. I tell you what.
Especially if they're at Marvel. But anyway, no, I agree with you, Nick, that yes, we did have great artists like Campbell, Silvestri, Joe Mads, Jim Lee, Silvestri. But the thing is, Joe, I'll mute you. But anyway, the thing is, we also had Rob Liefeld. We also had his studio of people. We had the Wildstorm studio of clones.
We were greatly outnumbered. It's called West Coast style, Brian. Come on.
That's true.
Silvestri and Green worked together on X-Men for a long time, then jumped over to Wolverine and worked for a long time together.
Well, that's true. That's true. I'm waiting for Joe's head to explode here. There we go. Look how many times he came back to Captain America. Look how many fill-in issues he did. The man did heroic service for Marvel. And since it's been 45 years since I last bought or even read a comic book, what is the amount of time between issues? Depends on which one they are. Most current DC and Marvel are monthlies. And Dark Horse, I would say. Anybody else your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
So, And for a while, there were some weekly comics, some bi-weekly comics. DC during the Rebirth had several titles that were being published twice a month. I like that. But yeah, so it's like see, we've destroyed the Marvel Universe. I think we got everything done. Anyway, so yeah, and some 1 month, some are 2 weeks like Batman, or it just seems like Batman, or like 20 issues of Batman on a month.
We got that now, don't we?
Yeah.
It feels like it. Of course, I feel the same way about the mutant titles too, or Spider-Man. So, that was the one thing. Jim Shooter, say what you will about him, he did not want to publish a Wolverine comic, and it wasn't until he got fired that they published a Wolverine comic, because his idea was, you want Wolverine, you go to the X-Men. Because if you take away the thing that's bringing them to X-Men, then they all leave X-Men. And it makes perfect sense. It does make sense. And Nick Tucker says, are there any good titles like Strangers in Paradise or Bone going on? Yes, there are. There are a lot of them in the independent leagues. In fact, Terry Moore is doing like a follow-up, I think, to Strangers in Paradise.
I think there's another title that was an offshoot of Strangers in Paradise.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. I can't remember the name of it, but Joe, I'm going to recommend one I didn't show earlier. There was a comic company called Sit Comics, and this is one I started reading. It's by an ex-Archie artist named Jeff Schultz.
Yeah.
And
I saw the ad for that.
Yeah, the Super Suckers. Yeah.
I heard of them. I heard of it. Yeah. It's really cute, but they do done in one comics. They were using a lot of former mainstream talent from Marvel and DC and telling some really good stories. Trying to think, or here's another one that I mentioned earlier. My Bad. This is one of the funniest comics out there, Nick. It is a takeoff of superheroes, and it's really dry sense of humor. There are some great independent titles out there. There's still a lot of god awful crap too, but that's the nature of the biz. And but the Batman titles bi-weekly, counting the 17 other bad titles.
Crap. Gospel.
See, I told you. I told you.
It's pretty sturdy though. I threw it and didn't even get a crease.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh wait a minute, maybe it did. Might be some ticks in it.
Yeah.
What company did that?
Image.
Now I have the urge to watch the Battle of the Planets cartoon. Oh, so you want to watch Space Science Team Gatchaman?
Yeah, that's right. Battle of the Planets, there was a Gold Key comic with Win Mortimer art.
Yes.
That was really nice. It was really good stories too. So, but yeah, and that's the thing. There are still licensed comics. I'm enjoying and it's a Marvel comic, so get off my back. It's about Ultraman. They are basically doing a Marvel version of Ultraman, which has been very entertaining.
Infinite destruction because they giving him his Ultraman.
Exactly. They can do Ultraman with my permission. So, and Nick Tucker put Joker away. I am sick to tears of Joker. Just like I am sick to tears of, I'll say it, Lex Luthor.
But 3 Jokers? That's
I
better.
like 3
That's
Jokers.
right. Yeah.
That was a good one.
I haven't read 3
followed
Jokers,
up
so
on
I have no
the-
opinion on it.
Did they have follow up on the ending of that yet?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
However, I
I'd
am
like to see
tired
a
of
follow-up
Deadpool.
of that.
You're what?
I am tired of Deadpool.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
Where are all my Deadpool pops at? Oh wait, there's one. There's one right there. Hold on.
Eric, you're evil.
We're gonna have Eric all cranked up for his show tonight. He's gonna do
Yeah,
something.
really.
Sometimes I just bring out certain pops for holidays. Well, I do have Christmas pops put up with the Christmas decorations, but this is the Deadpool superhero turkey dinner pop.
Superhero, yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to Chosen Hell.
See, the only thing that would top something like that would be like me breaking out a pop of Wonder Woman making a sandwich.
I don't know if I showed.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that'd be
if I
popular.
I got a pop back at Christmas time that I don't get a lot of pops, but this is the
Ooh.
Oh, Grogu.
Kinda
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, Grogu, and where Luke comes to take him for possible training, and then they decide not to. But It's one of the few pops I've got, but I really liked it.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm nowhere near the collector that Eric is or Amy Hale, but I see one that I think is cool, and I will pick it up, much to the consternation of my honey.
My new favorite bookmark that was here.
Ooh, yeah. Is that metal?
Prismatic.
It is not metal. It's just got the prism foil.
Oh,
yeah.
This is cool.
Nice.
I like prismatic stuff.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think we solved the world's problems that mostly are caused by Marvel.
I only have 186 pops.
I don't think I have 24, which is about 23 more than my wife would have me have. So
I only got 4. No, take that back. 5. And they're right behind me.
They're on a shelf here.
If I count with Ginny's, I got.
See, we're not in their conversation at all.
No, we're not. No.
So this is the chase of Cobb Vanth from the Vandalorian. So it's got Timothy Oliphant without the helmet.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Very cool.
I ordered it from Hot Topic and they sent me the chase. I'm like, okay.
So I guess they're doing a new Justified series?
Yes. Detroit Prime Evil. It's based on another one of Lamore's book. One of his books.
Elmore Leonard.
One of his books, yeah.
Elmore Leonard, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I saw a couple pops on the website recently, and I'm like, okay, I must never go there again because they're too tempting. And Cookie was like, yes, I understand. That is cool, Brian. Get off of there
for old toy people like Brian and me,
yeah.
I was at a place called 300 Heroes or something. It popped up on my feed.
Okay.
And I went to look, and they have, I guess Corgi is finally doing reissues of some of their popular.
Yes.
Did you see that? Now, so I'm looking over and I'm going, well, this is cool. I've got one of the original, the old school mini Corgi Chitty Chitty Bang Bangs that my wife was kind enough to get for me. But now they've got one that's coming out that doesn't have the people in it, but it's very, very much the same car.
Right.
But they've also got one that I think is the bigger Corgi with the people in it, and it's got the stripes on the wings and everything. It's really tricked out nice.
Yeah.
But here's the one that got me.
Mm-hmm.
I put this on my honey. I need one of these. You're looking along. It's got all the different Bond cars and vehicles, like the little helicopter. Remember the mini helicopter?
Yes.
Got that in there. But then I saw it.
There it was.
Mr. Bean in a chair on top of his little car with the.
I get it. I totally get it.
And there is the 3-wheeled Regal that he used to knock over all the time in all of his episodes. I was like, I need this. Please.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man.
I was going to mention it just for Brian, some of the older fans.
Definitely. Well, I almost bought a Hot Wheels toy for the first time in years, and it wasn't a car; it was actually a wheelchair.
Oh. Okay.
And I just thought that is just, that
doesn't sound like fun.
Depends on who you put in it and near what stairway. But anyway, I'm going to.
Anyway, I got to go. My other show's getting ready to start.
Oh yes, Eric. Tell everybody how to
links right there, of course. And we are doing mech horror tonight, so I have no idea what I'm going to draw.
Like mech? You said mech horror?
Mech horror, yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of cyborg.
One of the guys has been wanting to draw a War Machine for months now.
Right.
So we caved in and said, okay, you draw a War Machine, but we're going to try, do a mech horror. So if you want to do a guy in armor, go ahead.
Well, you have fun with your mech horse.
Well, I'll see you guys all next week.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Eric.
Bye.
I think he's right. I think it's time for us to sign off here. So,
because
Joe,
it's been a 3-hour show.
I know, because nobody but me wants this monetized is why. So I'm the only one. Anyway, Joe, tell everybody how they can keep up with you.
It's right there in the link tree right there that has everything from the company website to my channel from the That's a Small Press Publisher, plus the gaming stuff, plus everything that I pretty much do here.
All right.
And that's pretty much it. You know,
that
I'm
was
still
easy.
working on Primetime Saturday Night number 4. We got it rocking and rolling. So I still trying to get everything ready for C2E2 in March.
Oh my gosh, that is coming up fast, isn't it?
Mhm.
Holy cats! Well, maybe I'll make it up there this year. Who knows?
I hope so. That's like everybody said that they missed me last year off of a debacle on certain people's side, not mine, but
no,
I'm back and I'm looking forward to it.
Most excellent, most excellent. Thank you very much, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And Clyde Hall.
Hey, I am Clyde Hall, and I'm an elder statesman of geekery, an independent author, and a contributing writer at a bunch of places like comic book reviews I do at doomrocket.com and comicsbeat.com, aka The Beat. Thursdays, of course, you can find me here for Comic Book Spectrum, a part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Besides that, I do work with short stories and anthologies at Stormgate Press. Right now, you can get Pulp Reality 1, 2, 3, and 4, all the volumes on Amazon. And also, Brian and we were part of the Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkins series. That was the 10th anniversary celebration of Charles Millhouse's character. And now he's put them all together. You can get the anthology of that in one swell swoop. By going to really what you need to do for the goodness of new pulp stuff, including the upcoming Spurs and Six Shooters, Tales of the Old West, is to go to www.stormgatepress.com. Or you can go to Amazon and check out Stormgate Press's goodness. But you can also find all of my work at Indelible and also with Stormgate Press right here. You can follow me on Facebook at Clyde Hall or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. And you can also find me at CJ Hall 1984 on Twitter. So there you go.
All right. Thank you, Clyde. And thanks to Brian Rodman and Eric Hawkins, who had to leave early. And nobody's mentioned it, but I got some stuff this week.
Ooh.
I got that from Bobby Nash.
Yes.
Who sent that to me because I'm part of the Snow series. In addition to all the stuff that Clyde mentioned, I also got this Snow shorts just recently come out from Ben Books.
Yay!
Hardcover.
Ooh.
But we also have it in soft cover too in ebook form. Check it out at Amazon.com or from Ben Books or BobbyNash.com. As for me, everything I do is right there pretty much. We do this every week on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time. And hello, Facebook user, good to see you. And Snazzy, yes it is. And Eye to the Sky, my big stomping robot book, features zombie mecha from outer space for mech horror. And don't forget to tip your host. I know who this is. Mwah. Thank you for being here, Cindy. Love you, hon. Anyway, hope your night's going well, Cindy. CKOEPP.com. Hashtag always promote your friends. And as for myself, public announcements. One, please support the Amy Hale and John Hale project. We're trying to get them out of medical financial debt, and so far so good. You guys have been a huge help. Please share pardon me, please share the message and share and like and do what you have to do to get the word out. And yes, Molly, Bobby Nash was on the Star Chamber show last night, connected with the Imaginarium book convention. I gotta watch that. I forgot he was on last night. Oh, but anyway, he's great. He's a fantastic guy. But definitely also check out the Comic Book Spectrum page on Facebook because it is awesome. We do reviews on there and all kinds of other discussion type things. You can also see back episodes of this show on there, which you'll all want to do. And let's see, also, we want to thank our sponsors, namely our Patreon supporters. Many of these people actually have their own Patreon pages that you need to check out and support, please. But it's a monthly subscription service where you can directly support your favorite creators. And if you want to see what we offer in exchange for your financial support, check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. Also, Rising Tide Publications. By the way, big news alert. yesterday I finished the edit on The Terrors. It is now in the hands of my editor, and we'll be keeping you posted on what's going on there. We also, pardon me, folks, sorry about that. We'll also be, we'll have a Plasma Fire Graphics cover on it that is strictly gorgeous. You'll love it. And speaking of them, they're sponsoring the show, Plasma Fire Graphics. Jeffrey Hayes, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Check out the Plasma Fire Graphics page on Facebook, then shop on over to plasmafiregraphics.com and ask about their independent creator-friendly pricing. You'll be glad you did. That's Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And let's see. And woohoo, says Molly Daniels. Glad to have you here, Molly. Mwah, glad you could make it. Please check out her books on Amazon. And sorry we couldn't get to everyone's comments tonight, but please, if you would, especially to spread the word about the author Amy Hale project, please like and share this message. If you're on Facebook, share it on your social media so we can get the word out about these guys and how much you can help them. Seriously, we'll have an update next week about it. We'll send out another update to the supporters, hopefully over the weekend. But anyway, please check out that GoFundMe. It will help a member of our creative community so much. It already has, but there's more to do. So please check that out if you would. And so now it is time for us to take off because we have hit the 3-hour mark. Anyway, so in that case, then we got to get to where we need to be. And as always, folks, thank you for watching Comic Book Spectrum. Please, like I said, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You'll be glad you did. We got a lot of content coming up that I think you will dig. And we miss you, Cindy. We miss you. Seriously, we do. We got to maybe talk to you about being on comic or on a Clever Title Pending sometime, which also is tied into the Hale project too, which you'll find out if you go to that GoFundMe page. But anyway, we'll be back next week with more reviews. Check out our page on Facebook for Comic Book Spectrum, because we got a lot of stuff there that's happening. And as always, folks, we got to tell you, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everyone, and we will see you next week on Comic Book Spectrum.